there's a lot of hypnotherapy that is just show. Not to say that it's not true, and not to
Like
say that
Demon Headmaster, look
it's
into my eyes.
I was thinking that just
Yeah,
as you
with
said that. I
the
was like,
watch. Yeah,
the effects. I mean, the effects are strong, but not.
Yeah.
But you don't have to do any of those things in order to actually
so you can't control what I say now.
influence someone. Yeah.
Okay. So we have been talking a lot about relationships and the importance of. Well, we've been talking about a number of things, but this is, of course, a podcast for those of you who know. Of course, it's by men. It's mostly to help young men, and a huge factor in that is helping them learn from our mistakes, from other people's mistakes, and to get a little bit more wisdom and education and just the right balance in a lot of things to do with life, whether it's your health, career, relationship, marriage. So we've spoken a lot about how to find the right spouse. We've spoken a lot about the qualities of a right spouse.
Yep.
And what we've noticed in on the podcast especially, but also generally when you speak to people and when you hear stories from other people, there is this kind of like, this word that just creates tension, more than just tension. It
Trigger.
creates alarm bells, triggers. It might create childhood traumas, okay? And that is the infamous word of obedience.
The O word.
The O word. Why is it that if you were, just on the top of my head, you were to gather up 100 women, why is that 99 of them would hear the word obedience and it will just give her a shiver? She'll just get really angry. Ultimately, my question is, why is obedience so important? Well, actually, why is obedience from the wife to the husband so important in Islam?
It's a good question. I'm going to change it a little bit.
Okay, go for it.
Obedience is important regardless, whether it's from the wife to the man, or whether it's from the man to his whoever he has to be. But obedience ultimately is to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I think everyone in today's world has a bit of an aversion to that word. Obedience, first of all, you can't not obey. I mean, it's impossible not to obey. It's something that's in our neurology. There are some people with authority that when they walk into a room, people just obey them. If you grow up, for example, with a father who's got a lot of authority, just a look from him and you will obey. So, and that gets hacked into by, for example, therapists, by politicians, by teachers. So there are certain traits that give you authority, and those traits of authority make it easier for you to command and for others to obey. It's just neurological.
Wow.
Now, in terms of obedience for the man, it's to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to his parents, etc. In terms of for a wife, it's to her husband. Okay. And you can't not obey, like I said. So if you don't obey Allah in terms of your dress code, you will obey fashion, or you will obey this designer or that designer. You will have to obey because you don't live in a.
For the woman, it will be obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, obviously. It's a given before the husband.
Well, her obedience to the husband is part of her obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah,
Wow.
because it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that ordered her to do that. Okay. Now, there are a couple of things, whether it's, let's just talk about humans, and then we can go man and woman. But in terms of human, there are some people when you tell them to do something, it doesn't matter what you say, they will resist you. Yeah. So even if it's good for them, even if they actually wanted to do it before you told them to go and do it, they might be juvenile and be like, no, I'm not going to do it. Just because you told me to, I will not do it. Yeah. And that's juvenile. It's a rebellious, exactly.
Teenagers are usually like that.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
That's just juvenile. Now, whether it's the man doing that to his parents, whether it's the woman doing that to her parents before marriage, or to her husband after marriage, just for the sake of him, it's just coming from you, therefore I'm going to resist.
Yeah.
It's just juvenile.
Yeah.
The opposite is true, where the person giving the command or giving the instruction or the request, etc., where they will say, I'm in charge, so therefore I don't really care what you think, And in fact, if that's what you think, I'm going to do the opposite, just to kind of, coerce you.
Yeah.
Again, juvenile. Yeah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave that leadership position to the man in terms of the husband and wife scenario, He gave it to the parents in terms of the father-son, the mother-son, the mother-daughter, father-daughter relationship, and it comes with a guideline. Yeah. So if I ChatGPT is even human, I will ask ChatGPT for his opinion. I'm thinking of doing X, Y, and Z. What factors do you think I need to consider?
Yeah.
Wow.
Even if a donkey could speak to me and I could get any wisdom from a donkey, I would take it, right? And there are things that donkeys do better than humans.
100%.
They're very patient to carry a heavy load.
And they might know a better way to get up a mountain, etc., etc. I'll let the donkey lead, right?
But it's still a humar.
No. in that scenario, if it knows how to do that thing, I would let it lead, because I would be the donkey, not to follow the donkey if the donkey knows where to go and I don't. Do you understand?
Take the donkey up Everest, yeah.
So
technically they're mules, but okay.
Yeah.
So that's it's about doing what's right, and that onus, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave that to the man in the marriage, yeah, and He gave that to the parents, in the offspring parent relationship. So it's important. Now there is a difference between a man and a woman. All humans, we are state dependent, meaning when you're happy, you make decisions differently than when you're angry, than when you're sad, when you're depressed, when you're excited. You will buy things differently. You'll have impulse buys when you are excited, for example, that you would not do if you were mellow or calm. You just wouldn't. So we make decisions based upon how we feel and what state of mind we're in.
Yeah.
And it is just the case that the majority of women have it's not that they do. They have more states of mind. That's not to say that men are just like happy and angry. We have many more as well, but they have even more.
Yeah.
But more than that is the frequency that they change state from. Yeah. So, your wife might say something and you'll be like, right, she doesn't want to do it. But then a day later, she'll be in a different mood. And it's as if she's gaslighting you and she never gave you that big fight 2 days ago, but it's not. It's just that she's in a different state of mind. She might not even remember that she had that fight with you because she's just in a different state of mind. And so therefore it doesn't make sense for that person that's going to flip-flop, toggle between different things to have that final say, that leadership thing, or does it make sense for the man to do it? So, that's a wisdom. I'm not going to say that's the reason, but that's one of the wisdoms that we can garner from that ruling. And Allah stipulates clearly, الرجال قوامون على النساء, that men are
responsible.
But this word qawamun has 7 meanings, by the way. 7 linguistically, it has 7 meanings. And I personally believe that it's wrong to choose just one of them in terms of the tafsir of the ayah.
What's the common one that's used? Caretakers.
Authority,
maintainers,
or guardian, protector. Those are valid, but they're incomplete. The word has 7 angles to it.
Wow.
Enlighten us.
Oh, I need to
Enlighten
check.
a little bit, just a little bit.
So one of them, for example, qawam is to uphold. Okay, so when you if a wall is falling,
like the pillar.
No, like if a wall is falling and you uphold it, you're being a qawam to it. You're keeping it straight. You're keeping it upright. Yeah? That's one of the meanings. Another meaning.
And if you give a modern day example, that's like a calamity happens in the family, and he's the pillar. He's the shoulder that you lean on.
Yeah. Okay.
He won't go in a corner and start sulking and crying.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he shouldn't. He shouldn't. But so and everyone makes mistakes and people have different weaknesses. But the qawam means that he keeps it up. He keeps it up. Another meaning of it is that he is the valuer. Okay, and you will find in most cultures that a woman who is unmarried or without a male is usually valued less in pretty much all cultures. So that's the one who gives value to, or the one that values, like, I value this to be more value than this, etc. So there's seven things. Part of them is protector, part of provider, etc., etc. But we need to look at all of them in order to understand what that truly means. And then, take. So if anyone wants to find out, just look at qawam in the ma'ani. Mufradat Ma'ani, find out what it means. You'll find 7 things, and just read the verse according to each one of those 7 things. Ar-rijalu qawamun, men are the valuers of women.
Yes.
What does that mean? They give them value, they uphold their value, etc., etc. Men are the protectors of women. Okay, well, what does that mean? Men are the ones who hold women up. Yeah. So that's how you would do that. But the verse basically just means that the man is that in that position of leadership.
Yes.
And also it says on that verse as well, so the righteous women are devoutly obedient. Qanitat.
Qanitat, yes.
Qanitat, yes.
الصالحات
Devoutly.
الصالحات قانتات. الصالحات means the salih is that something that is
Pure.
no.
Not pure.
Salih is something that is it works, is good, it's right.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not broken.
Yeah.
It's not off the rails. It's when you say someone islih, it means fix it.
Fix
Yeah,
the
yeah,
situation,
yeah.
So the women that are not broken, that are not wrong, are obedient.
Yeah.
الصالحات قانتات. Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah.
But the two are put together, the righteous woman and devoutly obedient in the
Yes.
same bracket.
Yes. And in another verse, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, asa in talaqakun, if the Prophet, asa,
طلقكن أن يبدله
Let me get
أزواجا
the
خيرا
verse so that-
منكن مسلمات مؤمنات قانتات تائبات
yeah.
عابدات
yeah, exactly. عسى ربه إن طلقكن
Yeah.
أن يبدله أزواجا خيرا منكن. If
Yeah.
maybe that if his Lord, so the Prophet ﷺ, Umar said this initially, but he missed one of the characteristics out.
Yeah.
Sayyidina Umar, radiallahu anhu. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought this down. Maybe his Lord, if Muhammad ﷺ divorces you, will replace you with wives that are better than you. Muslimat, mu'minat, qanitat, obedient. Yeah. Ta'ibat, that they repent.
Yeah.
Abidat, that they worship.
Yeah.
Sa'ihat, thayyibat, wa abkara. Yeah. And then
So
physical.
obedience comes before.
So obedience comes after Muslima, mu'mina,
Yeah.
obedient, repentant, worshipper.
Wow.
Yeah. So some
The
people
order is, of course,
is very important.
it's very important.
Yeah. But the obedience here is not is to Allah and, like for example, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, obey Allah and His Messenger. So you're obeying the Messenger as a way to obey Allah. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, obey ulil amri minkum, yeah, those that are in positions of authority, even we have to obey them. So for example, now some women will start obeying their husband, but then they'll say, oh, I lost trust in him, and now I don't obey him anymore. Okay, which sounds pseudo, logical, but there's a problem with that. Like I don't trust the UK government with my taxes.
Yeah.
They're killing people with my taxes. Does that mean now that I run through red lights and say I don't trust the law anymore?
Yeah.
Does that mean I just pillage, that I kill, that I rape? I don't trust the law anymore? No. So there are some things that, okay, I might disagree with them in, and we've got an issue, in that silo, in that category. But then there's the rest of life. And, just because they got that wrong, in my opinion, doesn't mean they got everything else wrong.
Would you say obedience within women though is should be within their fitrah?
It is within but it's within everyone's fitrah.
Yeah.
That's the point that I'm saying.
That's
to you.
what you started off with. But
Yeah.
one thing I just wanted to ask as well, you know how you said the woman's state of mind is almost flip-flop,
Changes, yeah,
it
yeah.
changes a bit.
Mm.
And is that because of their emotional state per se, or
So it's the emotional state that I'm talking about. So the state includes emotions, thoughts, and just physical attributes.
Okay, because in this era, a lot of women would argue that men are like that, and their emotional state is always back and forth.
I mean, those men are lack masculinity, if that's the case.
They're lacking masculinity.
Because the like I said, men go through different
They're
emotions.
Like you're so emotional, bro. Like
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying. A lot of people are complaining about that and things like that.
Yeah, we'll get on to the worry with men.
But it's the frequency. And what I'm saying is the frequency. It's not just that you're emotional. It's that you're emotional and then 5 minutes later you're a different thing altogether. And then
And
5
is
minutes
that
later you're a
only
different thing
during the
altogether.
heightened state of their monthly cycle,
No.
or
No,
no?
not necessarily. It
general,
happens
yeah.
more then,
Yeah.
but not
More
necessarily.
than, not necessarily. Okay.
Not
Interesting.
necessarily.
Okay. What
Go,
Sorry, go
on.
for it.
No, go for it.
What would you say has caused the? Okay, so first of all, Jazakallah khair for giving such an in-depth explanation to the importance of obedience and obedience from men specifically, and obedience from the woman to the husband. But what do you think in modern day society has caused this disobedience in our Muslim womenfolk, our women, to their husbands?
Okay, so generally speaking, okay, let me paint a picture for you. Okay, there's a bunch of humans living together
Yeah.
in the wild. They don't have any walls. They don't have any taps.
Mm.
They've got very, very primitive tools.
Yeah.
That not one of them would dare to be fat or obese. It just wouldn't even cross their mind.
Mm.
The reason for that is I have to walk for 2 or 3 miles to get some water.
Mm.
I might have to run from the tiger. I might have to climb a tree. I have to go hunting. I have to pick berries, whatever. I'm not going to be sitting down vegetating on Netflix. It doesn't exist. It just would not even cross my mind.
Yeah.
Unless I had some form of an advantage over everyone else where I could point a gun to you and say, right, you go get my meat. Okay. And then I would be fat. But then everyone would gang up on me. And like what I'm saying to you is it just wouldn't happen. Yeah.
That's a crazy example. Wow.
It just wouldn't happen.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
I've never thought of it that way.
so in the Badu, like in the elementary level of humanity, before they become more and more civilized, that's the case. We're closer to, we don't go astray in those ways. But you also find, for example, that they will kill little girls and
Yeah.
sacrifice them for this or for that. So it's not the best way to be. But all I'm saying is to you, there are just things we would never ever. So a woman would never dare, in that because her husband has to protect her. There are no walls.
Yeah.
There's no social benefit. There's nothing.
The
Yes.
Metropolitan Police. Yeah.
So she needs him.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she will obey him because by definition,
Mm.
he is an authority.
Yes.
He protects her. If she's going to get pregnant, she needs him not to run away. Okay? So nature forces for them to be healthier, for them to have a better relationship, etc., etc. Fast forward, we're living in a civilization. I don't even know how to cut a chicken. I don't know how to slaughter a chicken. Yeah? I don't know the difference between a berry that will kill me and a berry that will keep me alive. I can afford to be fat. I can afford to be severely obese. The whole nation, USA, can afford to be obese. Yeah. Why? Because the food will come to me. Glovo, Uber Eats, whatever, and
Yeah.
everything will
That's
come to
become
me.
everywhere, man.
But that's the point.
Yeah.
Okay. Because civilization protects us, and so we can afford to homosexuality, for example. Yeah. In the wild, who can afford to do that? Like people are dying at the age of 12, 25, 30. You can't afford not to have kids by being
Sure.
gay.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen. It might just be a delicacy for one in 10,000 people who might still be attracted to a man or woman, but he would still have a wife. He still have a wife. So when we have the bubble that protects us, the civilization bubble, we stray. We can afford to stray from that which keeps us safe. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends the guidance. And the guidance, hudan lil muttaqeen, yeah? This guidance is for those who want to be guided. That's the first thing. Only for those who want to be guided. And that guidance, what it does is it takes people who are elementary and it lifts them up to become civilized. And it takes people who are civilized and it makes sure that they remain civilized. That they don't stray. So it's makruh, if not haram, for you to be obese, right? You have to walk to the mosque. That makes you thinner.
Yeah.
You shouldn't fill your stomach, etc., etc. Don't beat your wife. Well, that lifts you up from the elementary state. But when you're up there and the wife can't afford to, disobey her husband, and she can afford to be a single mother because the state's going to pay for it, etc., etc., but society's crumbling apart. Well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, obey him, be good, cooperate, to stop the civilization from cracking. So guidance lifts humanity up from the elementary and it stops it from falling from civilization. That's the aim of it. Yeah. So right now, part of the reason why everyone disobeys everything is because we're spoiled. We can afford to. The repercussions aren't so bad. Yeah. I can afford to disobey my husband and the state will take care of me. My father's still alive at the age of 70. He didn't die when he was 25 or 30. So I can afford to go back to my father's house. That's part of it. Another part of it is that schooling and society doesn't teach a man how to be a man and doesn't teach a woman how to be a woman. It teaches us just to be cogs in the system, and that's just the reality of it.
True.
That's the reality of it. In school, what do you learn? You're basically pen pushers. Yeah, you don't learn how to lead. And when I first started the business, I'd say the first 6-7 years was just hitting my head against this imaginary wall that was placed there of obedience. Should I do this? What do you mean, should I do this? I'm like, I don't work for anyone. Where does the word should come into the sentence?
Yeah.
So
The way you process something when you're doing it for yourself and when you work for someone, it's completely different.
Completely
100%.
different. Yeah. So if if you've been through school from the age of 5 up until 21 or 20, then you come out, it's like, what do I want to do? I don't even know how to ask that question.
True.
Wow.
You
Because
know?
you've already been
So there's a
programmed to,
lot of
yeah.
reasons.
Yeah.
There's a lot of reasons. But also I think now femininity, there's been a war on the feminine. It's seen as weak.
Yeah.
And femininity is anything,
Pushover, passive.
and it's anything but that.
Yeah.
And there's a story of a client that I worked with. She's a therapist herself, but she came to me specifically for her childhood trauma. She went through physical, emotional, sexual abuse multiple times in her life. And then when she was around 18, she was walking, and then a man just jumped out of the hedge, out of a bush or something, and basically, did the deed. Now, he's on top of her, and he's doing what he's doing. And she mentioned this to me because it created like a disconnect in her mind, and she felt ashamed of what I'm about to tell you. She literally put her hand on his cheek, and she stroked his face and looked into his eyes. Okay? Very feminine, right? See, okay, but wait, right?
Yeah.
Very feminine, right? Context is a bit weird, right? But very feminine. He started to cry. And he said, all right. And he got up and he ran away, pulling his shorts, his things back up. Okay. Now, what do you think would have happened if she started to punch him,
You would have continued.
knocked her out?
Yeah.
Okay. But because she gave him feminine love, she destroyed him.
Yeah. Did she ever? It's almost like saying she gave him feminine love and eventually got what she wanted.
Her femininity was the only way to protect her. Her femininity was the only way to actually destroy him, to beat him. Okay. Now, the fact that you're...
Stop giving the women the secret. Yeah.
But that's... No. Look, that's what it's about.
Of course.
That is what it's about.
Did she ever tell you if she
No,
meant that, or was that just a...
If she what?
Did she do that on purpose to let
She
him get
did
away?
that. No, she
Or
said,
did
she
she-
said instinctively, I just knew that's what I had to do. She wasn't enjoying it. She
No.
wasn't like...
Okay, because I thought maybe that ignited something
no,
from...
No.
okay.
She's instinctively, she knew that's what he needed, and that's what she needed to do. Right? And that was the
Wow.
only way that she saved herself. You don't know how many rape victims I've worked with, right? That's very rare. Women don't do that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what
But I'm
just
giving
thinking.
that as like,
Yeah.
even in that extreme case, right? Even then, femininity was stronger than masculinity. Yeah. So,
Wow. Sisters, that's the cheat code right there.
the yin and yang.
Yeah.
Okay, the whole Chinese concept of feminine and masculine. So the masculine penetrates, it conquers, it's hard. The feminine absorbs, it's soft, it's nurturing.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I keep thinking of the Hulk. You know how the Hulk just calms down and goes from massive to with the feminine touch.
I
You
don't
haven't
think
watched
there's
it?
any femininity there.
There is,
I've watched
bro.
every version
Come
of the
on.
Hulk, and that was a poor example. Sorry.
Alright, go on,
please.
man.
Please
You
go
haven't
on.
seen him when he's.
Yeah, there was no woman involved.
There is, bro. All right, go on.
There's always one of them in
I think
everything.
he's talking about the Beauty and the Beast.
No.
The Beast.
No, the Hulk as
Yeah.
well, bro.
Okay, all right. Sorry,
All right,
sorry.
shut
Please
up.
King
proceed.
Kong, the Hulk, whatever.
Yeah.
But the point is that her femininity is what saved her. Yeah.
Tamam.
Now, in Islam, rajul isn't just for a male. Rajul means mature. So a woman can be a rajul,
Yeah.
and it's
Strategy.
mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a level of maturity. Okay, so I mean, the popular culture equates rajul to man, but no, rajul means mature. Okay, many times that is a man, but it could be a woman. So you got the male, you got the female. When does a male become a rajul? And when does the female become a rajul? Okay, the male becomes a rajul when he now has femininity on top of his masculinity. Okay,
Oh wow.
he's now
Interesting.
nurturing his wife. He provides for his wife. That's not what a male does. A male conquers and penetrates. Yeah, new land, let it burn. New land, let it burn. New land, let it burn. Right? He becomes a man or a rajul, right? Mature, when now he can nurture that land. When now he can take care of it, and that's feminine. So he completes himself by adding femininity onto the masculinity.
Wow, that's amazing.
He doesn't transvestite. Yeah. He doesn't do the whole Western thing. Oh, express your feminine, side and become feminine. No, he keeps that as the base, but he adds to it.
Wow.
And the female's the same. She is feminine. She's nurturing. She absorbs. She grows things inside of her. When does she become a rajul? When does she mature? When she can add masculinity onto that. So now she knows how to deal with finances. Now she can hold the job if she needs to. Now she can take the kids to school if she needs to. She's doing all the stuff that's traditionally masculine on top of her femininity. She hasn't swapped.
Wow.
She's added it. And I mentioned this with my non-Muslim clients, and it blows their minds.
Yeah.
And they're women. The majority of my, 80%, 85% of my childhood trauma survivor clients are women. And it blows their minds. So this is a treasure that we have that we need to explain to the world, and we need to explain to our own children to start with and our own families. But what's happened today is that masculinity is the goal. Everyone wants to be a CEO. Even on OnlyFans, I'm the CEO of my OnlyFans channel.
Yeah.
But what they've done is they've replaced their femininity with masculinity, and they're always going to be at a loss. Always. Because she's never going to be as good a man, as good as a male. Because she just, and I'm never going to be as good a female. That's why we sprinkle, you sprinkle some femininity on top, right? You sprinkle some masculinity on top. You don't swap, because now we're both at loss.
Do you feel like with the
By the way, that was amazing. Though.
that was. We need a whole episode just talking about that. But
The comment section. If you guys were also mind blown by that like us, comment below.
But do you feel like
Sorry?
There'll be someone who complains about it.
Oh yeah, 100%. You can't please everyone. Yeah.
do you feel
Sorry,
like,
go on.
The ulama or in general misunderstood the role of masculinity, and they've been influenced by the feminist movement. So
in today's
day and
modern-
age, yeah.
What like shuyukh
Shuyukh
online,
online,
da'is.
da'is in general, that they focus more on upkeeping the woman's emotions and feelings, and they totally forgot about the man's a man's role.
I think
in
he's
the
trying to
society.
ask you,
Yeah,
have they become women pleasers?
basically.
Yes,
That's my question.
Sorry.
In a polite way.
yes and no. Yes and
Yes,
no. So
yeah.
whenever this is part of the authority thing, and this is part of the obedience thing.
Yeah.
Power not only rules, but power leads,
Yes.
and it's magnetic.
Yes.
Okay, so you'll find that the Mongols, when they conquered the Muslims were Mongol wannabes, many of them. Okay,
Yeah.
when the Ottomans were in charge, the French were copying their style, were copying their fashion.
Yeah.
Okay, when and now that it's the West in control, just psychologically we have that complex, the inferiority complex.
Yeah.
Yes.
We want to be like the white man, so to speak, right? We want to be like the West.
Yeah.
And so what you'll find is not just with obedience or the roles of masculinity, femininity, but with everything. It's like we want to, Islam has that as well, okay? And it's like, Islam we're not so bad, and it's trying to fit Islam within the
Western
guise of,
yeah.
of modernity and modern this and modern that. And it's kafir pleasing. It's not just people pleasing. It's Western philosophy pleasing.
Yeah.
And so part of that is that, but also there's an attack on the Muslim woman, and I think a lot of men and scholars etc. will say they're being attacked all the time. We want to show them that we're nice. We're nice guys. Islam's cuddly, soft and cuddly and blah blah blah. And not to say that it's not. It's a hammer. But
I suppose they've depicted it in a way, like for instance, one of the more extreme examples the West depicts is from Taliban or the Iranian regime and things like that. And they've got veiled burqa women that have no say, nothing whatsoever, and it's literally you do as I say, you listen.
But that never used to be the case.
And obviously, from a woman's point of view, I don't want that sort of life, especially whilst I've been brought up here in this country, and I want some sort of freedom. But
but if they find a husband that is like that, they should leave him as well. Like if that's what you don't want, and I wouldn't want that for my daughters as well.
Yeah.
So but if that's what you don't want, then don't go marrying that. Yeah. And if you do fall into that trap of marrying that person, and definitely before you have kids, walk away. Yeah.
So look, we've had a discussion on obedience and how significant it is in our deen and how it is for society. And women should, from the hadith and the Quran you've quoted, be devoutly obedient. But this obedience, now this is where we can differentiate a little bit. What is this obedience, like in specific terms? Like, would it be just on deen matters, dress code, cooking, things like that? What is it? Where do they differentiate? And someone might say, look, there's nothing wrong. I want lamb tonight, and he's asking for chicken. Do I need to actually, listen to him now? I don't want to listen to him.
Okay, so again, this is where the authority thing is important as well, because you can't, it's one coin, right? And one side of it is obedience, one side of it is authority. And when you outsource something, even in Islamic politics, when you outsource something to someone and you've left it with them for a while, either you replace them if you're not happy with what's being, but you don't micromanage. You don't go in there and say, oh no, you've set up the school wrong. That's to start with. You give them the guidelines, and then you kind of leave them to it. If you've left them to it, then don't come back later. Like it's hard even psychologically. So maybe don't leave them to it to start with, and coach them a little bit, or coach each other, find out what you want with each other, etc., so that she is the way that you want. But if you have outsourced it and you've left it, don't then come and micromanage. So I know one guy, he'd come back home, he'd literally lick his finger, right, and he'd run it on the top of the door frame, on top of the TV, and he's looking for dust so that he can have a go at his wife.
No.
Oh wow.
Okay.
So
We need to bring him on.
That's a tyrant.
We need to bring
tyrant, right?
That's a tyrant.
But in his mind, it's like, I'm the authority.
Yeah.
I want that standard upheld. Okay. Now,
But that would be unjust, though, in many ways, to most people's mind in the West.
to most people's mind, but what I'm saying to you is that, and that's what I'm saying to you. So it's got to be that either this guy's OCD, or he's got huge insecurities, mental disorders, or he knows some trick that we don't, right? But his wife definitely wasn't happy. She was subjugated and subdued, so she wasn't like, because he had the leash quite tight. But that's haram. That's not the way that it should be done. So I'm mentioning that because that's one extreme. Right? Why is she not obeying me? Why did so as a man, if you're going to fight with your wife about why did you cook lamb and not chicken,
it's not a big deal.
Pick your battles.
No, it's not pick your battles. It shows me that you've got nothing better
in life to do than argue about food.
There's a million things to be busy with. So it's about priorities. Yeah. And again, something I teach even with non-Muslim clients is there's necessity. Necessity means if you don't do this, you will die. Okay? So roof over your head, enough food, clothes, etc. These are necessities. Then there's hajiyat, which is like wants.
Yeah.
These things are not necessary, but if you don't have them, life is much harder. So you don't need a car. I'm outside of London, of course, You don't need a car. But if you don't have a car outside London, life is harder.
Yes.
So is that disobedience?
One sec. And then on top of that, there is tahsiniyat, which is like the
beautifying matters, or
the likes.
Yeah.
So necessity, wants, and likes.
Yeah.
So the want is A to B car. That will suffice. If we don't have it, we won't die. But if we have it, life will be easier.
Yes.
But now let's get a BMW. Let's get a Merc. That's a like. Okay. So does your wife cook? Yes. Necessity. Necessity is done. Okay. Is her food, unvomitable? Right? Is it can I swallow it? Is it nice?
Palatable.
Is it palatable? Okay, that's the want covered. It needs to be Thai food on a Tuesday, and this now you're talking about likes. Yeah, and I would say that's just in the silo of food. But there's a million other things. So if you as a man, okay, everything in your life is absolutely perfect except for the fact that your wife doesn't cook lamb and she cooks chicken, and that's a deal for you. You're very lucky to have nothing apart from that to worry about. But I would say like that's you need to. There's rahmah.
Yeah, of course. Love and mercy comes into it as well.
There's a lot of other things as well, and also.
But is that specifically, would that still not fall under disobedience? The man is wanting this and expecting this, and then afterwards.
Yeah, but that's why I give you the initial thing. That's why I give you.
Yeah, I know it's a very.
That's why I give you the initial thing.
Yeah.
So, if the man is controlling every single meal of every day, etc., he is beyond his remit, really.
Yes.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
If once in a while he says to his wife, can you do lamb instead of, you cook lamb amazing, can you do that instead of the chicken today? And she does the whole juvenile, no, just because you've said that, I'm not going to do it. Then she's disobeying him. You understand?
Or would you say this is more of a obedience?
Do you understand?
Yeah,
expect-
But if he's
I understand.
micromanaging
Yeah.
everything, that's intolerable. And she could ask for khula. She could leave the marriage because it's intolerable.
Or would you say whatever Saif is asking for is more of a cultural, what's it called, obedience expectation rather than an Islamic one?
I don't know about
that's
other
what it does.
cultures. I think, but we were here in the West.
Yeah,
We're here in the West.
yeah,
and I
yeah.
think that's a little bit.
Yeah.
What is it you want to say?
You know,
I'm just conscious of time. I'm conscious
yeah,
of
go
time.
on, go on, go on.
So before we wrap it up, just moving forward, like quickly, how would you summarize what needs to be done? What needs to be done as a society? How do we make our children's generation a better and healthier place for men, for women, and for their children?
So there's the word obedience is whether you like it or not. Yeah, it's in the makrah as well. So if you have authority on me, if your boss has authority on you, and he tells you to do something, you don't want to do it, you still have to do it because he's your boss. You disagree with him, you still have to do it because he's your boss. That's what obedience means. Okay. So there are many times where a wife will disagree with her husband, where a son will disagree with his father. But if the father has authority over him in that particular thing, he has to do it. Yeah. So we have to teach, and there's a delight as well. There's a real beauty in being surprised by the person you love. You know, there's a beauty in that. There's a beauty in not knowing what she's going to cook. There's a beauty in not knowing how she's going to dress. So long as, it's halal or
there's a
whatever.
line there,
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. When I say the words "surprise me," she cooks the best meal there is because she's now on the tip of her
But
toes.
he's got something that he's just not.
It's not that the disobedience part, it's slightly subtle. It hasn't properly been defined to me what is disobedience. I want to give you something here. It's just a hadith, a statement from Umar radiallahu anh. He went in Mecca, our women did not speak back to us. But when we came to Medina, we found that the women of the Ansar were different. They spoke back to their husbands, and our woman learnt this from them. One day I got angry at my wife because she spoke back to me, and she said, "Why are you angry?" The Prophet's wife speak back to him. Sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Now look, this is two different cities. The Meccan women were less assertive, right? And they were calmer. And the Medina women, they used to challenge, sometimes speak back.
I don't
and
agree
things
with the
like
word
that.
assertive, but I understand what you mean. But yeah.
That's how it's been defined here as well. But what I'm trying to say is different situations, different cities, different upbringings lead to different personalities.
Sure.
Now, it isn't necessarily disobedience if a woman challenges certain things and says, "Look, I've got a different opinion on this, my dear husband. I think this would be a better approach." You know, is that disobedience?
That's not
I don't know.
disobedience. No.
Yeah.
That's not disobedience. And the husband, that's why I mentioned the ChatGPT and the donkey, right? Not that your wife's a donkey, but I'm just saying, the man should have the maturity to find wisdom wherever it is and to take it. Do you
And
understand?
essentially, what I'm saying, if there's no disobedience to the
Her talking back is
creator-
not disobedience.
Yeah.
No. Her talking back is not disobedience. But if after she gives her opinion and talks back and whatever else, the husband says, "No, we're doing it this way," now she should obey.
Because sometimes as well, I remember the Prophet ﷺ used to ask his wife for advice and then went with that advice as well. No?
Yeah. Because only an idiot would not take good advice. Sometimes my children give me good advice.
Yes.
Yes.
Kid's got 7 years old and just give me good advice. Why would I not take it? What kind of an idiot would I be if I don't take that?
True.
Wow.
There's, I think, one more thing, which is, the hadith where the Prophet ﷺ says, if the woman does 5 things, she prays, she fasts, and the last thing he ended it with obedience, she will go into Jannah in any door.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
Does that mean that if a woman blindly, what's it called, follows her husband, that she will go into Jannah? Or can you
So long as it's within halal.
within the halal?
But again, talking back doesn't mean she's disobedient.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got it.
And the husband should encourage her to talk back. Right?
Yeah.
Not talk back, like give her opinion.
Yeah,
here's the thing.
just for the record, some people might perceive talking back as
Challenging.
back chat with a bit of rude behavior.
No.
You're talking about simply giving feedback.
No, we're talking
Like,
about.
I don't think that's a good idea.
we have a
Maybe have you
common
tried
goal.
doing it like this?
We have a common goal.
Yeah.
We're a team.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
we're working
yeah.
together. That's
Yeah.
what I'm talking about. So that should be the case. And the husband should even with your kids, you should teach them how to think and how to make decisions, because something might happen where you have to travel, and you've just got this like robot wife who doesn't know how to think, and you come back and your husband, your wife's your house is a disaster. Your kids don't know how to make decisions, so there's always this process of coaching them and mentoring them as well. Okay, so one of the things for in today's qawamun, if you say mentor, fit perfectly in terms of today's terminology. That would be one of the meanings of that word. So,
but
it's not just a off you go like that. It's not.
So back to the question of what needs to change for our children's generation, for their children's generation.
Our generation as well.
That's a whole 10 episodes.
Okay, all right. How would you summarize it? How would you summarize it in a few words?
Men listen to women.
No,
Men should start listening to women.
They wouldn't be happy with that.
I know.
They wouldn't be happy with
They'll
that.
be happy for
Try
now.
it,
They'll be happy for now, but a few
Try it.
a few months or years down the line, they'll be like, "So who told you to listen to me when the house is on fire?"
A few days, a few weeks. So, a
That's
woman,
true.
a woman wants to rely. A woman
Yeah.
actually wants to rely on a man.
I think a lot of women say that. To be
Feminine
fair, I think a lot of women
women.
want that.
Even the masculine ones.
I think
Even the masculine
I think a lot of women genuinely want that, but due to the lack of masculine men, they are being forced to take over that
Like
role.
for example, no,
You don't think so?
I think it's something programmed within them through society. Like when you see a woman who's bearing all and she's walking, okay, and she's like really like confident and almost aggressively sexy. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean when I say that? She's like there's an aggressiveness, there's an
We
edge.
have a term for it in Somali. We say nagnol.
Was
It's
that
basically imra'a hayya.
Okay.
That's what
she
we say.
carries herself really
She
well?
carries herself like
But
and
I
she
mean,
works.
sexy. She's
she's
showing everything. She's
Oh.
showing her
Yeah.
curves.
Yeah.
But
She's acting seductive.
yes. Okay.
Okay.
But there's an aggressive seductivity to it. It's like it's not a feminine, pretty. It's a sexy. There's
As in
almost
There's an edge
she's
to it.
there's an
objectif-
edge to it.
She's
Yeah.
objectifying herself. She's using her.
And she wants to use you as well. So she's using herself to use you.
Yeah.
That's very masculine.
Like
That's
a
very
man who walks
masculine.
in the street topless to show how hard he is, how tough he is. No?
She's going hunting.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
She's going hunting. So it's
Yeah.
masculine. Do you
Okay,
understand? She's
that's
actually
an
going
interesting
hunting.
take.
Right? So, but where did she learn to do that? She learned to do that from the M&S billboard of Janet Jackson.
Bro, you're too old school, man.
Yeah.
That's how,
always remember
that's
that.
how I know that he has no idea what the world's about now. But that he referred to
I always
20
remember
years
that
ago.
Yeah.
because in the papers, the two people crashed.
No way.
What was
Oh,
next
Janet
to that
Jackson,
billboard?
okay.
Okay.
So, but anyway, so
Yeah.
that they learned that from that.
Mm.
Okay, so even their femininity has become masculinized. Even the feminine body, the curves, the that beauty, is used for the hunt. You understand? And that's bad for the man as much as it's bad for the woman. And it's bad for
Yeah.
the woman as much as it's bad for the man. Because if you go hunting with your body like that, who's gonna I'm not interested in you because of your brain. I'm not interested in you because we can have a good conversation. I'm interested in you just simply because I want to use you physically. So that means you've attracted all the wrong people to you.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, how's that good for you? And then from the man's side, you're not attracted to her because she can cook, because she's a good mother, because she can have a conversation with you, that you can ask for her opinion. You're only attracted to her because you just want to
Physically.
off your load, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it's bad for both sides.
Okay.
So we have to go back to the teachings of Allah and His Messenger. Yeah. Not through the filter of the Western lenses, but through the original, what they truly are. What they truly are. And that's an internal meditation. When you read a verse and something in you kind of jerks at it, yeah. Qanitat. Why does Allah say qanitat here? Yeah. Why does He mention it before even abidat? Why does He mention it before ta'ibat? That reaction you got, you need to stop with yourself. And you need to say, why is that the case? Yeah. When the Prophet ﷺ said, rifqan bil qawarir, be gentle
Be gentle.
with the volatile, right? Or with the delicate, not volatile, the delicate. And if that makes you you need to stop and you say, well, this is the messenger of Allah who's saying this. Why am I getting such a reaction to
Bad
that?
reaction to it.
Mm, subhanallah.
That's the way forward.
I guess we would definitely have to have a whole other episode on how do we fix this problem, or your advice on that. So that is to be continued. So definitely tune into next time. Guys, for those of you watching, for those of you who have enjoyed this, who have liked this, make sure that you subscribe, comment, share. Tell us if you like it. Tell us if you don't like it. Have a healthy dialogue and debate in the comment section. Please don't be so offensive. We're on a road to 3,000 subscribers, so please make sure that you help build your community. This is for you guys. And we don't do the hard work. We just sit here and talk. You guys do the hard work. Sorry.
We should have a comment word. Obey your men.
Obedience. Yeah?
No, men. Obey men.
Obey men.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you've gone this far, then
That's
right,
definitely gonna
obey
get the
men. Yeah, we're
comment
not gonna
section
get.
very
We're not gonna get
interesting.
any. Actually, that might create anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, Jazakallah khair, brother Abdurrahman, for coming. And to our guests, we have a gift for you as well. This is a AAA Talks hoodie. If you want to pass this down.
This is where I advertise you.
No, you could just put it on and just face that camera. No, I'm joking. No, Jazakallah khair for coming, and inshallah,
Really appreciate it.
we really
Mashallah,
appreciate
really
it.
good
It's
advice.
totally like unique, original take on things,
mm.
which is refreshing because let's be real, the topic of obedience with women has just been rinse and repeat for years now, and
Yeah.
we don't want to we kind of want to be a bit more original.
The jungle analogy was good, yeah.
Brilliant. Jazakallah khair. So signing out, AAA Talks. This has been Muaz
Yahya.
Safe.
and our guest.
Assalamu alaikum. Abdurrahman Musa.
Alaikum salam.
All right, let's move.
Okay. Now we're gonna do another episode, obviously.
This
Okay,
one, do you
you
want
want
to
to
do
go
30
No,
minutes?
it's fine.
Oh,
Go
you guys
change my
take-
t-shirt. You gonna change anything?
No.
I didn't know you were gonna. I didn't realize I need to do that.
Do you want to move up or should you want
No,
to stay on the
خلاص,
same
let's
thing?
say.
Unless you got a black T-shirt.
I've got North Face one.
Is it? Yeah. Let me see if it's.
Oh, take your la. Take your.
I'll keep this one, but just change what's
Why don't you just
No.
take the
Why don't
blue
you
one
want-
off?
This will be a bit more.
sweater?
No, he looks nice, man. He looks nice the
Allah.
way he is.
You look more representable.
You don't look at
No, but do you want to wear this? Because the polo.
No.
Guys,
But
less
just-
on the phones. Remember the camera's on here?
Yes.
No, not much. What was it?
What was it you wanted to actually say?
About the obedience part. I moved on for that. I thought you lot carried on. I was thinking about something else. And then that's why, given the example of the food from there, it was more so like we need to define exactly what obedience is because we understand obedience is there, but subtle things compared to more major things and things like that. So that's what I wanted to, because certain things I think people, especially certain men, they focus on it too much. And it's not that much of a big deal, especially when you've got a relationship and a bigger picture to maintain. Yeah.
It's an ego trip.
Yes, that's what I was trying to get to. Yes.
Some men it's an ego trip. Oh baby.
Yeah, I should have got to that. But anyway.
You also have to give people room to breathe.
Mm. And especially if they've been brought up in the West, a lot of their thoughts will come up to us as well. Like,
Even
is
if they
it?
haven't been brought up, you know when you let someone be creative.
Actually, it's worse in the East now as well, even in my own countries. And then they're finding
You
it
let
challenging.
someone be creative.
Mm.
You nurture them. You grow
Yeah.
them. They bring something else to the
Do
table.
you think you could nurture them when they're 40 years old and getting married and they've already, like, certain marriages, you can't really do much. I'm already made as I am, as stubborn as a camel. Yeah.
It's not stubborn. Selfish.
Selfish.
Crap is selfish. People now.
Yeah, it's true.
It's capitalistic world.
Yeah.
People are selfish. They give a shit about their neighbor.
That's true.
So-
You just live for yourself. Can we toilet?
Yeah,
Yes,
of course.
yes.
Yeah. I think we can do two.
Oh, I don't think we
I think
can.
we could do the phone.
No, that was the way. That was good.
What?
That was good.
Yeah, what you said was
You look
good.
so tanned.
I look tan.
First guest that you didn't disagree with. MashaAllah.
No, I didn't want to
MashaAllah.
We're saying good things. I agree with you.
MashaAllah. First guest. Oh, I'm gonna hit the road straight. No, wallah road. Muaz.
How are you referring to me as a donkey?
He did it.
I said like, would you? I didn't say that. I said, imagine following a donkey up.
Oh no, he said no. He said you when you go to Mount Everest, follow the donkey. He said don't no.
He said donkey.
La. I don't think Ma'ad. No. I don't think he did that.
Watch it back.
No.
Referring to.
I think what he said is when you go to Mount Everest, follow the donkey because use the donkey.
Very good climber.
Then he laughed and pointed at me.
No, I've seen that. What he meant by that was if there is a donkey, use the donkey to follow the lead of the donkey.
The laugh and pointing at me. I just had to ignore it.
Bro, you didn't understand what I was trying to say.
Well, watch it back. You'll
It's
see
the
how
same. It's the same issue as the three balls. It's not that. I will say 3.5 balls.
Bro, did I call
Two and
him
a
a
half.
donkey?
No.
You didn't call me a donkey. You laughed and pointed when he said like following a donkey up a mountain. And then you went.
Yeah, because I was thinking about a mountain and like.
Did you mean by following the animal donkey, or did you mean by him being the
the
donkey?
animal donkey?
That's what I'm
but
telling.
It looked like you were calling.
Allahu alam. Let's watch out,
That's
Mahaz.
what I'm
Okay.
saying. Anyway, it's all right. I
Let's
won't
move on.
remove it because it will ruin the edit.
My interactions was better today.
Yeah. It was good. It was good. But I had to take your second question because he wasn't.
But
answering
the
it.
thing
I
is, he
even
was saying
said-
so much, and he answered most of the
Yeah,
questions.
Yeah. So
You get
now
it?
just remember to get.
But Mahaz.
We have
Maz.
to make this one half an hour, and then we'll ask.
La
them to
la
give us
la
a bit
la
of
la.
extra time.
Let's relax. That was good. Let's just relax.
No. We'll just do the third. So this one definitely has to be 30 minutes. So what I would say is because there's 6 questions here,
After this, I'm leaving. You guys are staying.
we're just gonna stay for another like 25 minutes to do our third episode. Should we go out? They have to rush home, but should we just? How are you going home? From here?
My car.
No, sorry. Are you going from here direct?
Yeah, I'm going to Epsom.
Okay. So do you wanna go for a walk or something? Yeah.
Yeah, we'll.
Khalas,
Okay.
okay.
So I'll wait for you, basically.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we're still on, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go.
What's
the second?
So this one's 6 questions. So try and be a bit more concise with your answers. I would say. You read the questions, right?
Read them again.
So you've got what does it really mean to be a man in Islam, and have we lost that definition?
Okay.
So
Cool.
yeah,
Next.
why do so many Muslim men today lack confidence, direction,
Mhm.
strength in identity? How has the rise of single mother households and absentee fathers affected the next generation of Muslim men? That's probably I assume that'll be the biggest talking point.
Okay.
And then, do you think the education system or wide society is feminizing boys? You kind of touched on that before, but we have different views
Go
for
into
every
that.
episode.
Go into that instead of the question before. What was it?
1 second.
Rise of single mothers.
No,
or
single
The one
mothers.
before that.
Muslim men lack confidence.
Yeah, just to do the schooling instead of that, because it's the same question, really.
Okay. خلاص.
So instead of why do
The
Muslim
single
men?
mothers a bit, because you said that before, Nassim. That was quite interesting as well. Why have they become like that? Why is there so many of them? Stuff like
So
that.
do you think the education system or wide society is feminizing boys? Put that as the second one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we'll be natural as
And
a
then,
discussion.
No, but we were structured last time. How is the rising and then why are so many Muslim men passive or fearful in marriage? And when did leadership become toxic masculinity? Should we start with that?
No,
No? Okay.
it's too deep.
Is there a fear of women today? Are men being afraid of? That's 5 and 6 are the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just ask us one thing.
Okay. Okay. So all right, let's go.
Okay, worry with men, yeah?
Okay. So
Bismillah. Let's go.
hello, assalamu alaikum, and welcome to another episode of AAA Talks. I am your host Muaz,
Yahya.
Saif al-Haq.
and mashallah, we've got our guest back again, our brother.
Abdurrahman Musa.
MashaAllah. back again. MashaAllah. We had an amazing episode last time on obedience, and of course, it caused a lot of controversy. And hopefully, from what we've been told, a lot of people have benefited from it.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Inshallah.
MashaAllah. So, guys, of course, naturally, there will be kind of what you would think a sensationalist conversations, but the aim is actually to help benefit people. It isn't just to create drama or stir any fitna or anything like that. It's none of that at all. And of course, we're on the road to 3,000 subscribers. So make sure that you subscribe, like, comment, share, the usual stuff. Today, we are talking about the worry with men. Okay? I think we've been bashing women quite a lot.
and it's time to hold men accountable. I guess, Abdurrahman, obviously you've been, with all of the work that you do with people that are suffering from child trauma, and that carries into their adolescence and in their adulthood, and and all of the clients that you've had, the community work that you've been doing. I guess the first question is, what does it mean to be a man in Islam? Has that identity and definition been lost over the years?
I wouldn't say that it's what does it mean to be a Muslim in Islam? If you as a male are a Muslim and you're following the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, you will be a man.
Wow.
If you as a female are following the Quran and the Sunnah, you'll be a woman. And you'll have that femininity. It's when we go astray, the whole elementary society and civilization thing that we talked about before, it's when we go astray from that, from the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that then we need, what is masculinity? And you get people like Andrew Tate coming along and telling you what he thinks. And then you get, the feminists telling you what they think, and it will change. Right? And feminism gone through 3-4 rounds, and now they're branching off different types, etc. It's going to change because ultimately, that's what human beings do. We're not consistent. Our values are not consistent. That's why Allah needs to send guidance in order to keep us consistent. It's applied flexibly. It's applied depending upon the context. But a man is someone who has taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's it. And there are some men that are very gentle, like Abu Bakr, radhiallahu anhu. However, when the Ridda happened, all of the Sahaba said we should just accept.
Including Umar, radhiallahu anhu.
All of them.
Yeah.
All of them. Including Khalid ibn Walid, all of them. No one said we should fight this. But Abu Bakr stood alone and he said, I will go fight them by myself.
Could you give a little bit of context to that for those who don't know the story?
So after the Prophet ﷺ died, a lot of the tribes and some of the tribes basically said, we will not give you, we will not pay zakah to you. This was a state thing that we were giving only to the Prophet ﷺ. Whereas this is one of the 5 pillars of Islam and it has to be paid to the state. Especially, there's 2 types of money. There's private money and there's public money, which is stuff that everyone can see. The land you own, the camels, the sheep, the cattle, etc. The public money has to be given to the state. Okay, and they said no. So all of the companions except for Abu Bakr said, we'll just let's do other things. We have other priorities. Let's stabilize. Let's do this. Let's do that. Abu Bakr said, no, this is a big foundation. This is a fundamental. It cannot be delayed. And he stood up by himself as a lion. So this gentle, and that's the point. This gentle guy stood up like a lion. Prophet Ibrahim, known to be gentle, etc., but he stood up as a lion in front of Nimrud. When so just having taqwa, following the teachings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, having these Islam, then Iman, then Ihsan. This is what a man is. And the more Ihsan you have, the more masculine you are. That's the bottom line. You could be very gentle, but you speak truth to a ruler.
But taqwa is something both for men and women.
Sure.
It isn't just for...
Yeah,
so
sure.
what are the traits that differentiate between the two for a man?
Man is biology. It's just
Very simple.
So
I don't want to get to
there
details.
there
It's just
isn't
simply
any
biology.
specific...
No, it's biology. And then
But-
Allah has given roles to a man and He's given roles to a woman. But there's biology. Do you understand? And if we just follow that biology without programming from outside, then everything will be fine. They never... These were not like... That's the thing. You don't find these like, what is a man in the books of fiqh? You don't find that. All you find is like a man who has this organ. Yeah. These are his roles and his responsibilities, and that's it.
Or المسلم القوي خير محب إلى الله مسلم.
But Muslim qawi is not.
It can be man and woman as well.
It could be a man and woman.
True.
It's a strong believer.
True.
So it could be a man or it could be a mu'min al-qawi. It's not even a Muslim.
المؤمن القوي.
So there's this whole definition thing.
Yeah.
Is that only comes about from the decomposition of society. When things are falling apart, we then clutch at definitions. Yeah. Well, how about we just stop things from falling apart in the first place?
Interesting.
No, I'm trying to understand because there are masculine traits and there are feminine traits, and we've always established that. And those definitions are already set in stone, whether it's through tradition and culture, and sometimes even a deen of religion and things like that. One of the traits that we understand a man to have would be being a protector, a maintainer, and so on. And a woman wouldn't take those roles of leadership and things like that. So I think I'm trying to get to more specifics.
But she can do. So Omar, he assigned a woman to be in charge of the market.
Mm.
Very masculine job. Yeah. He assigned a woman to do that, and no one stopped him, and no one said anything against him.
You're getting to.
Okay. So, but here's the thing: the majority of women will do if left to their own. I mean, even now, the majority of women, even now, HR, nursing, teaching. Yeah. Not many firefighters, not many.
I saw one the other day.
What, firefighter?
Not many.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Yeah. So if you just leave them to their own devices, most women will do the feminine jobs by themselves.
Psychology and therapy as well.
Yeah. If you leave if you leave men to they will do the masculine jobs, and that's it. But it's when we start messing with that and we start programming. Even then, it's against the fitrah. So it's a slow thing. It doesn't really happen. But a woman can, for example, fight in a war, and some of the Sahabiyat did.
Yeah.
But it's when all the women turn around and say, no, we don't want to do that because someone told us femininity was weak. All of us want to be soldiers. Now we have a problem because now society is going to fall apart. Okay, it's when all of the men decide, I'm going to be a house husband, because you can't marry a woman for her wealth. So you marry a multi-billionaire woman, and you decide you're going to be a house husband. Okay, for you, Mu'adh, that's not a problem. But if every single person, every man decided to do that, we have a problem.
Society will fall apart. Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah. What's wrong with stay-at-home dads?
Nothing.
Shout out to the stay-at-home dads. Jazakallah khair for that. Do you have a question?
No.
I've got another question then. What do you think the education system, specifically education system from a young age, so this is to the fathers out there, to the mothers out there watching, and be attentive for your children's future and for their sake. Do you think the education system is feminizing boys?
Is muddling them both together. Yeah. So I don't know if you remember when I was a kid, girls had germs. What was the word? Like girls had germs.
Yeah.
You wouldn't. The boys would play with the boys, and the girls would play with the boys. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Can't remember what it was called.
Luggies.
I was in Scotland. It wasn't called that. But anyway,
I figured out your accent now.
So that's just normal.
Yeah.
But I remember very, very clearly my teacher, Miss Kernan, right, when I was in primary 4, she would make the boys stand in line like this, and she'd make the girls stand like that, and then you had to hold the hand of the girl.
Oh wow!
And I said to her, I don't want to do that. First of all, it's fitrah, and then secondly, I was a bit of a right winger when I was in primary 4.
But generally, you get a lot of boys. Some boys would be like, "Ugh, I don't know about the girls."
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean?
And the girls as well. But the girls
would be like, "Ugh, yeah."
That and the girls as well.
Smelly
That's what I'm
boys.
saying.
Yeah.
And even when they like each other, they're teasing each other.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but she was kind of enforcing us to hold hands. I said, I don't want to do that. And she made now I understand it. She's like, you're a bit strange, aren't you?
Oh, wow.
As if I was gay or something. Yeah.
Oh.
And I remember it to this day, because it was just how snide that little comment was in her tone. Little things like that are inculcated so that males are not males and females. We're all just one. We're all just one. Yeah. Things like that. There's no, we grow up as one. So then, how are you going to differentiate?
Yeah, there was no studies of the study of how to become a husband one day or how to become a father one day, and for the girls how to be a wife and how to be a mother.
Nothing at all.
Yeah,
there's there used to be stuff about cooking or
that was I saw that I saw
financing
that.
And
you're talking the 50s and the 60s.
So it's the schooling system is only made specifically to get people to fit into industry. At least that's what it was. You're gonna come out. You're gonna work 9 to 5. You don't ask any questions. So we're going to get you used to waking up and coming to school at 9 and leaving at 3. So you're used to it. Yeah. Teacher says sit, you sit. Teacher says stand. There's a bell. you go out, etc. Nothing in there about how to live.
I'm actually a little bit taken back. I thought you'd be giving more specifics on roles and what a masculine man is, or the definition of what girls would call a proper real man, a protector, a provider, you know, someone who can fight.
Those are roles.
Who can,
but that's
you
a
know,
role. No, that's a role. Allah has given you the role of providing for the household. That's with part of Sharia.
Yeah.
Do you understand? That's part of Sharia. I can't tell you that's the definition of man. I'm telling you that's the role of a man. Do you understand?
That's the natural state of
If the
man.
man marries a super wealthy wife, he doesn't need to do that role.
Yeah, of course.
If she, unless she's like, this is my money, right?
Of
Off
course.
you go, you know, work in Tesco
Yeah.
and come back. That's you know, that's between them. But he doesn't need to. Let's say you inherited 20 million from your dad.
Yeah. You don't need to work.
You don't need to work. So the role, but you have to provide. You don't need to work, but you have to provide. So there's just ahkam, they're rulings. Some rulings are for men, some rulings are for women. You're going to Jum'ah prayer. Yeah, that's part of your masculinity.
Wow.
But it's a ruling. If you don't go to Jum'ah prayer, but we call it sinful. We don't say you're not a man. We just call it sinful. Do you understand? Ghira, protecting your daughters, your mother, your grandmother, right? I have ghira for other men walking down the street. I'm like, how are you okay with other people eyeing up your woman like this?
Yeah.
So that ghira comes from the roles given to me by Islam.
So but wouldn't you say those roles are masculine traits then, to define what a man is or a proper man?
Could be. But the problem with that is the second someone...
Because without that role, for instance, the second
someone doesn't have to do that role due to his context, that doesn't mean he's not a man. That's what I wanted. That's the only danger with that methodology.
I see.
You understand? That's the only danger with it. So the man
is set in stone by his biology, and you can't
let's
you
say
can't call him a less of a man because he doesn't.
The man has to be a protector, but this man's in a wheelchair.
Yeah,
because you're not a man anymore. No, he's.
I like that. I like that. Subhanallah, no one's actually come from this sort of approach.
He's a man. He's still
online.
a man.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
the man's blind.
Yeah.
Your husband's blind. He's not going to protect you in the street. Is he not a man now? Does that mean you don't have to obey him? Does that mean you don't have to? What? It's not. It doesn't like that. You have roles given to you by Allah. He has roles given to you by Allah. He does his roles. You do his. Part of your role is to obey him. Yeah. And here's the thing: even if the man's a bit of a can't make decisions, if the wife stops being his crutch, and he's like, "Look, it's your bills. You haven't paid it. We're getting a fine on top of the bill because you haven't paid your bill." If she doesn't come and remind him, he's going to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
So if she gives him his role and leaves him at it, he will learn. Life will slap him.
Yeah.
And he will learn.
But then I think what we should be defining is not what a man is, but more what a stronger man is and a weaker man, perhaps. Like, for instance, the decision making. We always think someone that's assertive, makes quick decisions or good decisions is a better man compared to...
But also a better woman.
Better woman as well.
If she, if she's like, I don't know what to cook today.
No, but those big decisions, a woman that allows 100%. Her man to be a leader gives those decisions to her man, and she likes that, and she admires that.
Yeah. What I'm trying to say to you is that there are characteristics that if the man has, he becomes a better man. If the woman has, she becomes a better woman.
Right.
They're not necessarily characteristics just for a man. Do you understand? Like, and remember when the previous episode, when I said that, the female matures by sprinkling some masculinity. Well, that's decision making. Yeah. You get yourself a wife from, before, because now it's not the case, but let's say from the village, who doesn't have access to any of the modern things, etc., etc.
Villagers now have TikTok.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. But, you bring her here and she will do your nutting. Okay. Very feminine. She doesn't even know how to catch a bus. Doesn't know how to bring anything, doesn't know up from down, doesn't know how to put the cooker on, right? She wants you to, bring the coal and she'll do your nutting.
Yeah, that's true.
She'll do your nutting, but she's been very feminine. So the same characteristics that bring men up and women up are the same thing. It's just about context. So if a woman, for example, chooses ilm instead of bringing up kids, that's okay for her as an individual. But if all of society chooses that, so that now you go to uni and you're finished by age of 21 and then you have to do your 1 or 2 years worth of experience, and then you're going to think about maybe working for 2-3 years and then you're going to get married, that that goes against your feminine biology. Because if you have a kid at the age of 18, your body recovers much quicker than if you have a kid at the age of 40. Yeah, it just goes against you. Same thing with the man. Same thing with the man. If he travels alone or with a couple of friends, yeah, he will learn things that he will not learn, at home.
Yeah.
Mollycoddled.
Yeah. Well, here's a question. We asked a few of our followers what kind of questions they had for you. So here, some interesting one came. A very interesting one. Why are so many Muslim men passive or fearful in marriage? When did leadership become toxic masculinity? And there's another question from another brother. Is there a fear of women today? Are men afraid of being called controlling, so they end up being weak?
Yeah. But it's not just with women; it's with everyone. Like so many men are people pleasers, and they want the wife to approve of them. Here's the thing about authority and being in that position of leadership: a leader never changes his mind just to please someone. And if you do with your wife, she will disrespect you.
Yeah, she'll notice.
She'll feel it, right?
Yeah.
A leader never changes his mind to make someone else approve of them. A leader changes his mind if the other person is more right than they are.
True.
Now, if a leader doesn't change his mind when someone else is more right than they, even if that's a woman or a donkey, like I said last time in the episode, or your own kid, or a horse. Like I'm not saying women are donkeys or horses. I'm just saying anything. If you know, she sees in your face, you know what? He knows I'm right, but he's going on an ego trip.
And
he
that
just
requires a lot of wisdom from the man. A lot of wisdom and a lot of...
I don't know if it's wisdom. Look, you're
wisdom
right, you're wrong.
And also,
You know what I mean?
being able to control your ego.
Yeah,
I think
that's
it.
it.
That's what I'm trying to say.
It's your ego.
Is
I think
being
it's
able to...
self-discipline, self-control.
Ego.
It's the
Do you
ego.
understand? The ego will always lead you astray.
Yeah.
If you as a leader decide, you know what, I'm going to just go with my thing because it's mine, even though she's more right than me, then you now have sinned. You've erred. Do you understand?
Yeah, of course.
And she will disrespect you for that, even if she obeys you.
And that ego, you said, it comes from selfishness, doesn't it? A lot of the
It
time.
comes from selfishness. It comes from, this whole capitalistic society is all about me. Yeah. But here's the thing, and it goes back to the wisdom that you were talking about, and that bubble of civilization, and the guidance.
Yeah.
Is that if you think it's to your advantage not to follow her because you don't want her to think you're weak, but the opposite happens. So being humble, right? You ask a Western man, is being humble part of masculinity? Your average Western man is going to say no.
Yeah, no.
Because it's not like...
Self-confidence, be arrogant, stick a chest
but
out.
in Islam, humble means,
It
means
is
you're
actually
more
a
masculine.
characteristic. Yeah.
Yeah. And for a female, it means you're more feminine.
Wow.
Right? Why? Because actually being humble is better for you.
100%.
Thing about Islam is you can be a retard, you could be a genius. Yeah, Islam doesn't ask you to be a genius in order to follow it. Islam only asks you to have enough IQ for you to realize this comes from God, and if it comes from God, God knows better than me. So I will follow it whether I understand it or not.
Wow.
So God asks you to be humble. That humbleness causes your wife to respect you. You would have never guessed that because you're not smart enough to realize that. I'm not smart enough to realize that. I don't have to be. I'll have to just be smart enough to follow God's
100%.
advice.
Smart enough to submit.
Smart enough to submit.
And sometimes high intellectuals, guys who are
SubhanAllah, that's what
claim they're
I was about to
intellectuals
say.
and
Abu
very
Jahl.
smart.
Abu
They-
Jahl used to
they-
be called Abu
wasn't
al-Hakam.
dumb.
He used to be
Yeah.
called Abu al-Hakam, the
Yeah.
father of wisdom. But he called him Abu Jahl, the father of
SubhanAllah.
the retard,
Yeah,
basically,
yeah.
because wisdom came to him
Yeah.
from his own family, within his own, and he wouldn't expect
So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ولا تمشي في الأرض مرحا إنك
Yeah,
أن
yeah.
تخرق. Yeah.
Luqman to his son.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all of these things,
Yeah.
if being humble, so you don't flaunt it. Today's all about if you've got it, flaunt it.
Yeah.
I
But
see, man.
that makes him more fake.
That makes it more.
That makes him...
Yeah,
You're not really...
You got to flex everything.
Yeah.
Now it's
Yeah.
all about flexing everything you do.
I see, man.
Suddenly 6 figures, you're a man. SubhanAllah.
Bro,
I see
sometimes people flex themselves praying.
I've seen men.
Yeah.
That's
Okay,
what we are.
he's got himself his girl, his handbag girl,
Mm.
and he's with his friend who's single,
Yes.
and he's all over her in front of his friend,
Mm.
which I think is really cruel for his friend.
Okay.
His friend's sitting there alone, lonely, yeah, and This guy is like enjoying his
Girlfriend,
girl in front of him. It's like in Islam we have this thing called muru'a. Muru'a means like decency.
Yeah.
It used to be that you had no decency if you ate in public.
Yeah.
Because there are people who can't eat. So if you're sitting there and there's a beggar and you're walking out of Greg's and you lack decency. That's a lack of your masculinity, but it's also a lack of your femininity. It's just lack of decency. Yeah. So there's the values that have been sold to us are un-Islamic.
100%.
And we need to go back to what we know to be the case. None of this, if you go out and flaunt it. Same thing with beauty.
You said an interesting part, which is the softness of Abu Bakr radiallahu anh. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam as well, like, was very soft.
Very soft.
In how he dealt with, the Sahaba, the folk. There's a
ولو كنت فظا غليظ القلب
لانفضوا من حولك. Yeah, there's a great book written by Sheikh, how he acted with his people, which is basically talk about the Prophet, how he dealt with his people, with the animals, with every single person within society. And being soft is also, know when to be soft and when not to be soft.
But that softness is femininity sprinkled onto masculinity.
Yeah.
That's what makes you more mature.
Which is completely missing from.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
To some degree, but there's personality traits as well. Umar radiallahu on one hand was very harsh.
But
In
when
fact, some women didn't want to marry him because we don't want to marry you because you're harsh.
When he became a Khalifa, he became much softer.
Yeah, that was because Abu Bakr wasn't there. Abu Bakr was the gentle advisor.
Yeah, but he had that control. That it wasn't his ego. Yeah, he had that control. He knew when to do what.
So you could almost say he had more self-control because he was at a higher position, a higher responsibility. More burden.
And before he had self-control as well, but Abu Bakr was very soft. He had to be hard.
To balance.
Understand? And he knew that was his role.
Yeah.
And Abu Bakr could afford to be that soft because Umar was that hard as well. So he's also making his life easier from one perspective. So I would love just to give you a list. Here's masculinity, here's femininity.
But it doesn't work like that.
Here's Islam.
Yes, excellent.
I like
Absolutely.
When does a man become flawed then? Within the
When he stops. So for example, if your woman's doing something wrong, and you're afraid of telling her that's haram, because she's gonna have another fight with you, now your masculinity is dropped. You understand? Now your masculinity is dropped. Because you're not following Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Wow. That's a great way to put it.
As an example.
So nowadays, a lot of youth, let's stick with youth for a moment, because I do a lot of youth work. And I always ask a common question of who are your modern day role models? Someone that's alive. Okay? Because usually they'll give the Prophet, other prophets, companions, radhiyallahu anhum. So, and you would find that they would either say a sheikh or a da'i that they've never met. Like they'll mention a sheikh. They'll mention, mashallah, great role models, in my opinion. To some people, they would appeal to them. People involved in the da'wah scene, like Muhammad Hijab, Akhi Ayman, Ali Dawah. These people appeal to certain people, especially the young youth, and you get people that would say Nu'man Ali Khan, Omar Suleiman, etc., yeah. And then you'll get others that will say footballers. You'll get others that will say MMA fighters, Andrew Tate,
Khabib.
Yeah, Khabib, etc. By the way, just for the record, I don't want to put Andrew Tate in any of those people's brackets. By the way, but I'm just saying these are what they say. They'll even say non-Muslims. Okay.
Jordan Peterson at one point.
At one point, yeah.
Before he started crying all the time.
Became a drug addict. But what's really sad, I've never heard a single person ever say, my dad. Is there a worry with that? Is there a concern with that?
Yeah, that's quite deep. Yeah, that's quite sad as well, isn't it?
Yeah, very
actually. Sad. Yeah. But it's the bling thing. It's the amount of followers you've got. It's also frequency. Like most people see Andrew Tate more than they see their dad.
Wow.
No, but even Andrew Tate himself aspires to be like his dad.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that's the funny part.
But that's the thing. Most
player.
most
Yeah,
people
yeah,
see
yeah.
Nauman Ali Khan more than they see their dad. Yeah. The other thing as well is that none of us really do anything like legendary.
True.
You know, we're just ticking boxes, making sure that no one's really doing anything beyond themselves. Whereas if you were to ask, you know, the people in Gaza, you know, who do you see? Who's your thing? One of them may say my dad.
Yeah.
You know, because his dad's in the trenches, so to speak.
Wow.
So you know, it depends upon the magnitude of what you're doing as well. Maybe Nauman Ali Khan's son would say my dad.
Yeah.
So it's just about.
But then at the same time, though, we're almost dismissing the hard work that went
Yeah.
behind the scenes of what
Yeah,
they did
yeah.
for us.
But that's what I mean.
You
by
know,
the bling.
we
It's
spoke
the
about
bling.
we spoke about in the previous episode about how we are living in such comfort now that it's allowed disobedience. But our parents and their generation, and I don't want to do the whole comparison thing, but I'm just saying they came in a totally different genre. It was survival mode. And sometimes we dismiss just how hard they had to keep their head above water so we could swim freely.
Yeah. As someone who's lived in other countries for a prolonged period of time, don't know the language, don't know the culture, don't know anyone, literally don't even know how to get my car fixed. Yeah, you know, it's a headache. Got it done eventually, but it's a headache, proper headache. You don't know, you know, Eastern Europe, Italy even. Yeah. Guy wanted to charge me €1,500 to do 2 of the 3 things that were wrong with my car. When
Not even all of the wrong things.
when I got all 3 done for €400 later.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So yeah, it's hard. It's hard. Like I look, you know, our mothers, it's hard. Imagine being a
100%.
woman, feminine woman.
They never had that village
Feminine
that we
woman.
bang on about now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did it alone.
Yeah.
Is that because of social media and things like that? Just beyond ourselves, because we speak to each other a lot. And I always look up to my father. I've never caught him ever even lie once in his life. There's so many things. And Yahya, you speak about your father
Yeah.
so much. And yourself as well. But
Yeah.
the youth of today...
That's why I was specifically saying the youth. They'll crack jokes about their dad. Like, oh, you know, my dad went to Tesco and never came back. Like stuff like that, like these kind of funny things, yeah.
Well, that's another subject
and it's
to
just
talk
it's
about.
and it's really sad because I remember
So
that.
it's more of a disrespect
Yeah.
than it is. So they're not just not looking.
By
up
the way,
to them.
today's Father's Day, just to let you know.
I didn't even know that.
subhanallah.
Yeah, I didn't know that until someone sent me the message.
Okay, good.
And then it reminded
But
me.
are these youth even being brought up by their fathers though?
No,
Because
yeah,
there's
yeah.
Firstly, there's a lot of single mothers out there now in the Muslim community,
A lot of them,
Right.
a lot of them.
and the ones that have fathers are absent a lot.
Well, this takes me to another question. Another question that someone sent to us. Okay, Saif, do you want to read it out?
Is it this one? How has the rise of single mother households and absentee fathers affected the next generation of Muslim men?
Let's just cut off the transmission. That's the issue.
How do you explain that?
If you don't have I mean, you can find the laws, the rules, the shara of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You can find it, you can search for it, but it's not the same as you've grown up and you've seen your dad doing it, and you're just, you know, he's giving you 2/3 of it, and all you need to do is just fill that cup a little bit more, and you're doing pretty well. So there's the lack of that. Another thing as well is that if the mother then starts doing parental alienation, your dad's a loser, your dad doesn't this, your dad doesn't that,
Which sometimes happens in divorce households.
which happens a lot, not sometimes, unfortunately.
Is that when the mother is projecting
She-
onto her children?
It could be projecting. It could just be that she
just
she
sabotage.
feels very, very guilty.
Okay.
Another thing, so she wants to kind of excuse herself by making the father look like the bad guy. Many reasons for it. Doesn't matter. But
Yeah.
the point there is that
Regardless, and sometimes the father is a piece of crap.
and many times
Yeah.
the father is a piece of crap.
Yeah.
So, but what ends up happening is that, but even if the father is a piece of crap, the mother, Islamically,
could paint
He still has to be there and present.
No. Islamically, the mother shouldn't paint him in the light that he's a piece of crap.
Because then that's
Unless he's
backbiting.
completely like if he's a piece of crap who is abusive, okay, then you know that's a hard one because she can't say he's a good guy because then
Well,
if he goes there, he's going to get abused.
just
Okay.
on that point, wasn't there a kid that came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and said, basically, you know, my father called me a bad name and he
Omar,
didn't.
Omar.
Omar, yeah.
Omar. But just before that, yeah.
Okay, khalas. Yeah.
If the father is abusive,
Yeah.
that's delicate because the mother can't say he's a good guy because then she'll, you know, the son will meet him and he'll abuse him. Yeah. But if, let's just say he's negligent. So he's not abusive, he's not like dangerous, but he's negligent. And there was very valid reasons to leave him. His negligence is one of them. He doesn't provide the bills, etc., etc. That's room for khula or even you know the fasakh of the aqd, etc. No problem. But she shouldn't say your dad's a loser. She shouldn't say that. Yeah, because a believer should cover up for another believer. Number one. Then number two, his psychology as a child, you'll destroy him. Yeah. But when you know your dad's busy, or your dad's this, your dad's that.
1 second. What's the process of his psychology being destroyed? Why is her telling? Why when the woman is telling, the mother is telling the child,
Or the opposite.
your dad is a loser? Why is it harming the boy?
Or the opposite. Like you know your grandfather used to be a thief. Yeah. He can find that out when he's older, but it's like it's a stain on his identity. You understand? It's a stain. Your father's a loser, or you're just like your father. Yeah. Or you're just like your mother. Yeah. Your mother's, you know, really emotional. Stop being like your mother, etc., etc. That's like, that's really bad. That's kind of abuse. It's an emotional, you know, it's an emotional aggression or transgression. So she should cover up for him for the child's sake.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the father should cover up for the mother for the child's sake. Not your mother's this, unless it's a delicate thing where she truly is abusive or something. They should find a way to kind of avoid, you know, the son from having to deal with that such. And in my opinion, that such. And you should cover up for believers. And imagine that's his father as well.
I know a situation of someone where it led to a divorce, and the son, who was always loved by his father for 10, 15 years, so on. And then when it came to their divorce, and after the divorce, the woman was always calling him a loser and bad names and whatever not. To the point the father and the son had a fight. And the fight led to something even more dangerous. And let's just say the father's in prison for 8 years now after all that. And now the son regrets it, but the situation's already gone to that extent. And it was all because of the mother showing that aggression and that hatred towards.
There's no good way about that. Let's say he was a good man and he was providing even after the divorce, etc. How does she win? Now he's away. You know.
One thing though, within our generation, even if the father wasn't existent, men still became men.
Yeah.
Now it's different.
But it's part of it.
Yeah.
That's part of it.
Yeah.
But 1 second, men became men.
Because of the challenges
that might give a perception to women that women raised men.
Oh, it's okay. That's not a problem.
No,
But
that's
it
not
was,
a problem.
but
That's not an
surely
issue.
in the example he gave, no, it was the village, the society
Maybe
was
but-
at a
but
time
that's not-
was
but that's not
more
an issue.
equipped.
If your mother, let's say your father was working, right?
Yeah.
He was in Saudi Arabia, and your mother was doing it, and he was sending money, right? But your mother kept saying to you, your father works really hard for you.
Yeah.
Your father loves you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And she taught you the characteristics of a man through her narration about your father. Okay. His job well done. But now the same woman will be like, your father's in Saudi, chilling out in the sun, right? He goes to the beach every weekend.
With his second wife.
With his, I don't know, probably has a second wife and a third wife. And, we're here in the cold. And, I asked him for more money. You can't get your new Nike shoes because your dad doesn't want to give you cents anymore, et cetera, et cetera. Now she's broken him. And the opposite is true. Like, let's say your wife has to go tend for her mother. And you said, okay, fine, it's not a problem. Okay. And would you tell your son, your mother's or your daughter, your mother's a beautiful woman. Look how she's taking care of your grandmother. I hope you take care of her and me when we're older, and do the same. Or are you like, your mother is disobedient to me? She's this, she's that.
And she loves her mum much
more
more
than
than
you.
she loves you.
All of that crap. Yeah. So it's.
But would you say does that happen
That happens
today
now a lot,
in this generation we're living in more than the previous ones,
Yeah.
like the ones
There's
was
more-
referring to?
there's more entitlement.
There's more comfort.
There's this thing that happened to me. I was selling a chatbot.
A what?
a chatbot, an AI agent chatbot thing.
Okay.
And it was working it would do, I did this for my own therapy thing. And then I thought, you know what, I'm okay at doing this. Let me sell it. So this guy's selling products online, and this agent sells him stuff. They can handle 1,000 requests in one go, like at the same time in parallel. He's got people that he's employing for €1,000. So I made him this chatbot that chats. He was blown away by it. Now, when I sold it to him, first I sold him what I was going to do. He was blown away with that. And then I made the mistake. I said to him, after you've paid for this is phase 1, I'm going to do phase 2, which is now you can call the chatbot and it talks to you. And his brain went, woof, yeah. So I did phase 1, and he was like, well, this is good. He wasn't as impressed. And then he goes, can you give me a prototype of phase 2? I said, if I give you a prototype of phase 2, it's not going to be as good because it's going to cost a lot of money for the services to tweak them, etc. He goes, no, just give me a prototype.
This is another conversation.
Just give me a prototype.
Yeah.
So I did the prototype. He goes, it's got a lot of like lag. It's not as good. I said, I told you it's not going to be as good. I said, okay, so we'll fix that. You've seen that it works. Can you just pay the deposit for phase 1 and then we'll start with phase 2? He goes, if you can't make phase 2 work, then I don't want phase 1. And what happened there, I learned a big lesson. I should have shut up after phase 1.
When he was mind blown.
Yeah, and he got him to pay. And then after he paid, I would have gone into phase 2. Okay. And what's happened is Hollywood, you see, phase 1 was amazing, but phase 2 was spectacular. When I gave him phase 2, which was so spectacular, when he was disappointed with that, he got disappointed with all. And what Hollywood's done is it's made marriage, which is amazing. Someone's looking after you. He's paying the bills. He's protecting you. He's pleasuring you. Those are pretty good compared to when you're alone and lonely. And the opposite true with the man with the woman. But they've taken that and they'll be like, that's okay. This is spectacular, Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Power couple.
Power couple or anything. Or any of these like Hollywood like romance
couple
movies.
goals. These new couple goals that keep coming up.
Now the thing that's
the
amazing,
behind it, yeah.
now phase 1 looks crap. Because phase 2
it's not as promising as phase 1, basically.
you understand?
Yeah.
It's now become more promising.
So now
It's
that's why
become more
you get married to a woman and your honeymoon is phase 2. It's
straight
Hollywood. It's proper Hollywood.
Yeah.
Okay. She comes back, she's like, phase 1's like, you
That's why I was saying I don't agree with honeymoons anymore, guys.
Instead of just as an example, instead of Dad's working in Tesco and he's not bringing in much, but he's working like a dog. Yeah, we should kiss his feet when he comes home. Yeah, Mom, she look at her. Okay, she burnt the food, but look at her. She's working a lot. We should just go kiss your mom's hand.
Yeah.
Go hug her. Go do the bed, etc., etc. It's not that anymore. It's like Mom isn't as good as Angelina Jolie in that movie. So they've destroyed and that's what makes us entitled.
Wow.
They've given us something so amazing and made that feel like it's normal. It's not.
But that's always been the case, whether it was Hollywood or Bollywood or whatever. Not before that, it was novels. It was when Shakespeare would come in. And you'll have those little ideas of Romeo and Juliet and this romanticized version of a
Even Romeo and Juliet wasn't romanticized.
I know at the end it was
they
bad.
died.
Yeah.
It was a complete disaster.
I know.
And those novels you're talking about, actually, they talk more about miserable things than.
Is it?
Those novels sold misery, not joy. Many of them.
Even
different.
The Disney the original princesses.
What, Beauty and the Beast and that stuff.
Where they originally got it from, like European, like before Disney, these stories existed.
These stories existed, of
they
course.
They were not what
before
Disney portrayed it
before
to be.
social media or movies or whatever. There was always a platform.
It was romanticized.
There was poets. There was.
They sold misery.
They sold misery as well.
Not joy.
Yeah, or they sold reality.
Yeah. But I mean, they didn't. But they never gave you. What's it called in the desert where you?
So was Majnun Layla
Mirage. They never sold you a mirage.
Was Majnun Layla a true love story or was it fake?
But again, it's misery.
Was it misery?
No, it's real. But it was misery. The guy never got married.
True.
Yeah.
To her.
Majnun Layla,
It
you
was
don't know.
miserable, isn't it?
A guy got married.
Antara.
Yeah.
Misery.
Misery. Antar as well.
Yeah. And then like it was.
But these are historical.
Yeah.
We'll
When
get
you
to
sold
another
something,
time. Yeah.
It's made to look like it shines all the time, and you find out it doesn't.
Wow.
Interesting.
Okay, well, on that note, on that miserable note, this has been an episode about the worry of men. It ended up with the misery of men. Well, okay, so we'll end it there and leave a comment below if you've gone this far, which is...
I'm not miserable.
I am not miserable. Okay, so guys, it's been a pleasure. Jazakallah khair once again, Brother Abdurrahman, for coming, making the effort to come this way. Really appreciate it. Guys, we're on the road to 3,000 subscribers. Please comment, like, share. You know the drill, the usual drill. This is, I keep saying this, but this is all of our community. So please get involved, especially in the comments below. Signing out. I've been your host, Muaz.
Yahya.
Safe.
Abdurrahman Musa.
Assalamu alaikum.
So.
Okay. Oh, that was sick,
amazing.
man.
That was good. I wasn't expecting that. You'd actually defend the role.
You know the funny part is,
Safe's jaw dropped.
well, we had.
Shall I ask them?
We didn't expect us to give it.
You can,
I
but
didn't
bro,
expect me
it's
to
too
do
short
that.
for an episode, 13 minutes.
That's why I don't prepare too much.
What is he talking about now?
If I ask them to give us till 7:20.
All right, I'll ask them if you can, or 7:15.
No, there's no 15 minutes.
Let me just 1 second.
MashaAllah.
Like it's come a long way. Start doing these cartoons as well, Muslim cartoons. The Boy and the King and stuff like that.
Guys, 20-minute episode?
Yeah,
time?
what did you say?
Yeah? Give us an extra 10 minutes? Is that all right? Yeah, why not, guys? Why not? Even if it's a small one, still for the views. Oh, so I'll just see your side, yeah? Okay, great. Another 23 minutes. I think that's a great idea. Okay.
Let's come here.
Yeah, go on then.
We'll just
Yeah, that was sick.
you two are gonna gang up on me on that corner. Come here.
Yeah, stay.
I'm gonna do it.
No. It's either there or there.
Yeah. Yeah, you move on that side. Your legs.
Yeah. You have to choose. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah.
وأخي هارون هو أفصح مني لسانا فأرسله معي يرد أن يصدقني إني أخاف يكذبون.
We in?
Perfect. Yeah. Let's start.
You guys ready?
Okay. Just a minute.
Stop.
Yeah.
Bismillah.
Whenever you're ready, bro.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome back to Triple A Talks. I'm your host Saif, and we're here with
Muaz.
And your favorite Yahya.
Right, guys, what's going on? I've been watching the news lately, and it's going crazy out there. Did you see it the other night? What happened?
What happened, bro?
There's missile attacks everywhere. Iran has gone crazy now. They've just hit Tel Aviv, and I'm thinking in my head, and everyone else is talking amongst my friends and everything. World War III.
We're all saying it, bro. We're all saying it.
Something's brewing.
Something's brewing.
No, we thought this like it happened a couple of years ago with Russia and Ukraine, and then Russia threatening the UK. But now it's just everywhere, bro. So you've got Iran, obviously Israel, and then you've got you had Pakistan and India. You've got tensions between now.
Well, let's talk about the hypothetical situation, which actually can be very realistic, of a whole bunch of countries taking sides with each other. And it does actually become.
It does. It's going to work like that. There's the East and West. The West is a NATO part. NATO, America, and Israel are going to be one unit. India might jump in, and then on the other side, you're going to have Russia, China, probably Iran, and those guys. I think Turkey's neutral at the moment. They're not going to go on.
Qatar.
Qatar's also neutral, I think. And
you're the geopolitics guy.
I'm not.
All right, let's start off here, right? If UK, where we're living, is British citizens, they made the law that it's compulsory for us to fight. Are you guys going to join?
Wait, fight who?
You're going to have to fight Iran.
No. Let's. I'm not going to go fight Iran. Let's make it a bit more juicy.
Who then? Who else? China.
Fight China.
China's too big, man. They got like 2 billion people.
No, but
we're talking
wait a minute. If it was NATO countries, against Russia, China, and Iran, where would you be? Or what side would you be on? Would you be on NATO side, or would you be on?
No, I don't want to answer that question. I want to answer your question. If it is fighting the Chinese, hypothetically, and the Uyghurs could be freed.
But where's your identity at first? You're British, right?
Just wait a second.
Yeah.
Paint the whole picture and then ask the question.
We was just like, what is it? 1% of the population of the Chinese.
They are our brothers and sisters who have been trapped in concentration camps.
But you're not going to be
for years and years and years.
But you're not going to be fighting the Chinese to release them, would you?
That's what I'm saying. Are we putting that as a clause in the hypothetical scenario that you've created?
Hypothetically, you can try and free every single nation in oppression.
Okay, would you fight for the British?
If the king embraced Islam and,
Oh, come on now, bro.
What, bro?
But this is your land,
It's
bro.
a possibility, bro. He was on Eid day. What was he saying? He's saying, my dear Muslim friends. Yeah.
Okay.
That's a bit unrealistic at the moment. Allahu Alam. It may happen, it may not happen.
Let's-
That's a bit.
What?
Let's just
Charles
put it out of
said
Let's
the
just say
no,
UK government says
let's
enforces
put it out of the equation for now.
UK government enforces that is mandatory
Yeah.
to fight, or you get sent abroad back to wherever you want to go. So you either fight and retain your citizenship, or you go back to wherever you've come
I'm
from.
taking a one-way ticket to Somalia, bro.
Is it going to Somalia?
One-way ticket to Somalia.
You ain't fighting
It's
for the
not my
British?
fight to fight.
But you know, Muslims fought for the British in World War One, and I think World War Two as well.
There would be
The South Asians, Indians, Pakistanis, they fought for.
The Egyptians didn't come in
I don't know who Egyptians.
because
were
you were
for.
colonized by the British as well. So
Maybe,
you must have had some
maybe we
side
did, but I know that the
Mm.
French and Algerian were fighting for France.
there. Mm.
Wasn't that more enforced upon them?
Well, that's what I'm saying. So,
So it was more-
But realistically,
no,
like,
but there were a lot of soldiers that were heroes, veteran war heroes. But
Mm.
history books have just completely covered that up. No one wants to remember the brown people that helped the English. So, what would you fight for them?
really, no, bro.
Where would you go?
I'll probably go back to Bangladesh, bro. I got loads of.
You're not too
The
far
thing
off.
is, Bangladesh won't get caught in a crossfire. Actually, it might. India.
Nah, they're hitting Pakistan, bro.
Okay.
Yeah, Pakistan and
Bangladesh won't get in. Will Somalia get caught in any crossfire?
Someone's all the way at the other side. Of
That's the
world.
thing. I would want to go back to Egypt, but Egypt's going to get involved
Egypt
100%.
is always in hot.
Nah, if it's a world
Egypt
war,
will just
bro,
Egypt will just
if
do
it
whatever
is
Saudi and
actually-
America tell them.
seriously, if it is a world war, then everyone's getting involved. Everyone has to because they're all part of it, and one neighbor's part of another.
Who are you getting
neighbour.
involved
No.
with, bro? I ain't fighting for British.
But you're gonna have to go somewhere, and they're gonna be fighting for someone, aren't they? So Bangladesh will have to side with somebody.
Okay,
No, Egypt will have to side with somebody.
Good luck.
interesting. So who are you gonna side with, bro?
The Muslims.
Okay, how about this? Check this question out. Yeah, and guys, comment below. What would you do? Would you fight for the British? And if you wouldn't, where would you go if they kick you out of the country? Okay, but if you can't leave the country,
And with the current climate, that everyone is kind of against the Western society and is against NATO, would people actually side with China and Russia? Since they actually view, what's it called?
I have a
Them
feeling-
being more in a more of a.
I have a feeling the comment section will
Let's face it,
side
guys.
with Russia, China, and Iran.
In the country and the lifestyle that we're in, nobody wants to fight, bro. Everyone's gonna be running. They'll be like, yeah, whatever option I have,
But
they're
when it
gonna
comes
run.
to it, would
Huh?
you?
They're gonna-
When it comes to it, that you have to go into war.
If there was a greater purpose,
Would you be
yeah,
a
I
macho
would.
person?
If there was a greater
and I get
purpose,
into it?
It's
would you?
liberating the oppressed.
Imagine the world scholars have united together and said, we must side with
And it becomes Fard al-Ain.
Iran.
Nah, that wouldn't happen, bro.
I don't know, bro. That's a mad one, isn't it?
I doubt that would happen. I think there was discussion online as well. Some of the Salafi guys were saying that they're kafir.
Who?
You're just seeing two kafirs fighting between each other. Both Israel
yeah,
and
I mean,
Iranian, so they're
yeah.
unfazed, unbothered.
Yeah,
But it is,
you have to think of the implications of.
But it has made the wider Muslim community so happy. Like in Lebanon, there's weddings and there's people playing thank you trumpets whilst missiles are going around. You've probably seen it. It's
Yeah.
already had 1 million likes on it.
To be honest, bro, look, man, Salafi's saying that they're indifferent and they're both the same. Come on, bro. Come on. At the end of the day, Israel are far worse. They're far worse, bro. They are our greater enemy. Let's be real.
I think there's tension between Saudi and Iran. That's probably one of the reasons.
And that's why the Salafis
Yeah.
are saying this.
Yeah.
Of course. Because, you know, when Saudi say something, when Saudi say jump, they say how high.
Yeah, but they're not saying anything against the Saudi regime going against the Yemenis and how they've oppressed them as well.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't want this to be a topic about Salafis, bro. I can't be bothered.
Yeah.
It's not the right time.
Did you say, so will you fight? Let me talk about you.
No, I said I wouldn't. No.
You wouldn't?
No.
Where would you go?
I said I would go to Egypt, but if Egypt
Or
were
Hull,
caught
up
in a
north.
crossfire,
You'd
And I-
be
so
You'd
how
be
about
forced,
this?
I
If you
think.
guys couldn't go to your home countries, where would you go? That's a better question.
Probably Scotland. Yeah. It's really high up. It's really high up. Like London's going to get attacked first, isn't
Oh,
it?
100%.
Russia said, listen, we can get a missile to London and nuke you guys in 3-4 hours. Back in Ukraine war, it's been over 1,000 days now.
Would
and
you
they were
consider
scaring all of them.
protecting your home as part of you fighting for the English?
Oh, protect your land.
Yeah.
Is that one of the pillars of jihad?
If you've got land here, you've got property.
You've got property safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would that be considered for you fighting for your
If
home?
you're in a state of war, who's thinking about
Of course
land
you
and
are.
property, bro? I'm
It is
running,
part-
bro. It's going to get blown up.
But if I live in Somalia and I get attacked, of course I'm defending my country. Why would I sit there and watch? So if you've got property over here, that means you actually.
then
Oh,
that-
wait a
for
minute.
I'm just
Every-
imagining
Yeah.
safe in front of his block of flats with a shotgun in his hand.
No.
And one leg over the other. And he's got and
against
he
the
doesn't
Russian
have a
nuke,
cigar. He doesn't have an Arnold Schwarzenegger cigar, he's just got a Miswak and he's juggling the shotgun shells. And then the nuke just goes, what would you do, bro?
No,
Safe would just be people upon this wall, bro. Upon these properties.
Safe
Never
would
go
give up
back.
his properties that quick. I don't know,
I mean, he
bro.
already said he'll just fly
He'll
out.
go Bangladesh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said Bangladesh, but you said
If
that's
you
not
can't
an
go
option.
Bangladesh, where would you
that's
go?
not- That's not an option. Scotland, I told you.
Oh yeah,
bro.
you said Scotland. Where would you go?
Scotland.
I'll say
Somaliland.
no. Where? If I can't go.
Somaliland.
No, they're one, but
No, but
If you can't go Somalia, where would you go?
I'll say here.
You'd stay here
Yeah.
and do what and fight.
I mean, where else am I going to go?
Whoa.
But don't you have any allegiance? I'm talking to you as a British born here.
Do you have.
To no. I know that was your question, but I'm adding to it now.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't fight. No.
Hmm?
I'm very well aware of what my passport says, but no, of what it says at the beginning.
When would
the
you fight? When would you fight? Would you ever fight
For the
in war?
UK?
Yeah.
Never. Of course. I would never ever. I would rather be in prison than fight for the British government. Lock me up, bro. Muhammad Ali style.
Oh yeah, he did say that as well, and he said Islam is peaceful, and started on that one of his interviews, and he goes, "We don't fight."
No, I don't think that was the reason. He didn't believe in the cause to fight in Vietnam.
Vietnam, yeah.
Yeah. But where would I go though? I kind of like Bosnia. I like
That's still in Europe. That's
Bosnia,
getting bombed.
Bosnia.
Actually, but what am I talking about, bro? Bosnia have 3 governments, bro. That's the first place getting bombed.
Yugoslavia, that was bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was really bad.
Jokes aside, guys, I think there would be something brewing in the near future, about a decade or two, and that's part of Subhanallah, how Allah Subhanahu wa Taala tests the people, and He's testing us with war. That's a big test. You can't say you believe and then don't get tested like that.
Yeah, I mean, we know that there are signs to the Day of Judgment. Is of course that there will be a final war.
Yeah, not only the final war, but even after Musa alayhi salam, from then onwards, it's just been wars after wars after wars, like from the Romans, from the Saxons, from the Vikings, and then recently World War I, II, and then from even me for the last 30 years, the Bosnia War, Afghanistan invasion. That's one of the reasons I actually wouldn't fight for the UK, because I've seen them kill so many Muslims from Afghanistan, from Iraq,
Yeah,
from
of course,
Libya.
bro. Yeah, it's
from
not just
Yemen.
just cause. It's not a just.
So why would I support them whilst they've been killing our own, if you like?
100%.
No, I came, yeah.
And they'll throw you front lines, and they'd want to. They'd want you. You know, you'd get killed. You'll be the first to get killed. And any brown person that tries that will prosper and become a war hero, they'll be forgotten anyway. Or especially a Muslim person. But yeah, forget that, bro. Ask me a different question.
What's another question? Have you got one yet here? What would you do in that sort of situation? The sirens are now on. London's under attack. You're here. All 3 of us are together in this podcast room.
Well, how about this? They've attacked every single
This place is quite
airbase.
safe.
They've attacked every airbase, every port. Airports are shut down. You can't leave the country. You can't leave the country. What are you gonna do?
Go to Scotland.
And I've got no, but you've got your family over here. You've got everything over here. You're forced to fight. You have no choice but to defend.
No, I'm not.
You've
Gonna,
literally
no,
but
I'm
you
not
have
gonna
no
fight,
choice
bro.
but to
You got
defend.
two
I'm gonna
options
protect
there.
my family, bro.
You're
gonna
being
protect my home.
but you're being killed either ways. You're all dying either way. So
Yeah.
whether you sit there, whether you
You
sit
know what?
there,
Subhanallah. Yeah, he is coming from a bravery angle, isn't it? Like,
No, but what-
I'm not
what
doing
the-
a coward move.
No, no,
I'm
but-
staying.
I would protect my family.
Yeah.
and you would
I
go
would
there out
stay.
no, you would go out there to fight as well.
No.
You have literally no choice.
Who fight who?
Whoever is invading the country.
Drones.
Wait, we're not talking about invasion, are we? No, wait, are we talking about invasion? now?
Would you consider firing a missile would be an invasion? Why not?
You know what? If you guys can remember, the last there's a hadith that during the end of time, the last battle would be with swords again. It's like technology would all evaporate, if you like.
Obviously, we grew up listening to that.
Yeah.
I don't know how authentic it is.
Yeah, satellites.
That
If
the
all
last-
the satellites in the world are
That
gone.
all technology would cease to exist, and you will be on horseback and arrows, swords, shields.
Okay, given that scenario now,
Yeah,
World
Allah.
War
We'll have
III
to
went
ask.
to
We'll have
that,
to ask a sheikh about that.
and somehow drones were removed and everything, and it went back to normal fighting, horseback with swords and things like that. Would you now fight in that manner for the British?
No, to protect my home,
Would
to
we be
protect
even
my
alive?
home and my family.
Mm.
I ain't fighting for the British.
Yeah, I hear that. I agree with you completely.
Maz,
You're
you'd
not
be in
even
the same
British.
situation as Ukrainians where they had to take all the men. So you will still be. They will come they will actually come for you.
Are you talking about people that are coming to occupy the UK
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, yeah.
An
Countries come and
enemy
occupy.
state coming to invade.
to
Yeah,
invade?
let's say Russia.
Mm.
That's a Russia or China. Two enemies that we may have.
Interesting. I'd have to get. I'd have to see what the Council of Scholars will have to say about that.
But you have no choice.
They've all left to Bosnia.
They're
or
all
somewhere.
dead. They're all in Bosnia.
They have no say at that point.
Dubai and 5 stars.
There won't be a Dubai back then. But guys, comment below. What would you do? What would you do if World War III was to erupt? What would you do if you're here living in the UK and you couldn't get out?
And
Where
they
would you
made
go
it
if you couldn't get
compulsory
out?
on you to fight as well as men.
What would you do? Would you rather go to prison than fight?
And would the woman now stand up and fight as well?
But that's the
Bro.
thing.
rights.
Okay.
That's the thing. Is people from different sides of the coin fighting each other, literally.
People what?
Basically, kuffar against kuffar, bro. So if I fight against one or the other, I might be considered a shaheed. I didn't look for the fitna. The fitna came to me.
Yeah, Allahu Alam.
So-
Here's an interesting one though.
Mm.
Yeah.
Those from Shishan and Dagestan and all of those Muslim countries that are technically under the umbrella of Russia that are fighting for Putin against Ukraine. What now of the... Well, first of all, should they actually be following Putin? Should they be following Russia and invading Ukraine? What about the Muslims in Ukraine? What do they do?
Have they actually, the Shishanis, they haven't sided with Russia to take
Yeah,
Ukraine, have they?
I think by law they have to. Or
I thought
else-
they were
or
separate
else-
state altogether.
No, they all come under Russia. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Comment below, but I'm pretty
Because
sure
they had a massive war.
Dagestani. I had two Dagestani brothers. Shout out to the ones that came with me to Morocco, and they were saying that if they lived in Dagestan, they would have to fight for Putin.
Because they had a
Against
massive war there in Grozny and stuff like that for almost a decade against the Russians. I don't know. I don't know what the situation is now. But yeah, ooh, that's a hard one.
So their passport was a Russian passport, just to let you know.
Yeah. So essentially, what we're saying, the only way we will fight will be, to please Allah Subhanahu wa Taala.
Well, that's such a vague comment.
I know, but
to
under
please
a
Allah, I will not fight with the British.
Yes.
Unless there's, like I said, there's a majority consensus of scholars around the world that have said it is a fard on you, it is compulsory on you to fight for the British against the Chinese, for example.
That's not going to happen though. He wouldn't.
Well, okay. Well, we're running out of time. This has been short and snappy.
Mm-hmm.
But those in the comment section, let us know, where do you stand in this? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Would
Guys,
you
start
agree with-
training, get a better purpose, not just train to look fit. But
Safest
just
flight
You looked at yourself when you said that.
I
You're like, don't just
Come on,
train
man.
to look fit. Actually go and be fit.
yeah.
Okay, signing out. Leave a comment below. It has to be WW3 and not the wrestling thing,
Mm.
World War 3. Yeah? World War 3 below if you've come this far. Anything else you want to say?
That's it. I think we'll do a short and snappy episode this time. WW3.
Yeah, and it's hot in this room as well, I have to say.
Khalas, we'll sign out, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Peace out, guys. Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.
Muaz,
Yeah.
Safe.
peace out. Okay, kept it true to 10 minutes.
Done, guys? Yeah, we're
Yeah.
done. Thank you, guys.
Who's that? Were you saying that my thing was open?
No, your crutch.
Wait a second. Why does it say 1 hour 58? Oh, wait a second. We could have gone for an extra 4 minutes. Yeah, look at the time of that. Oh, I didn't know that. He said he'll give us 10 minutes extra.
I don't know, man. I was going to get serious, and then I didn't.
You're hosting it. I didn't know what you were doing.
I know.
You just, I don't understand. Very hot. They switched off the Hosting is not easy, bro.
No, it's not that. I actually forgot at one point. I was hosting, and it came back to you. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, 'cause I'm used to you hosting.
No, but you went so quiet. I felt like I had to fill in the gap. No, I think like which part? Which part do you think?
That was like the old name because the person who created, like who found the type of autism it was actually a Nazi. So now it's known as autistic spectrum disorders (ASD). So that's the new name. The old name was Asperger's. It's not something that can be like cured. Do you know what I mean? It's like you exist with it. You know, it's like it's.
But it's not like the government or hospital can give you something for free with this.
They can't give you something for free. It's more like.
Okay.
I mean, I think they can give you like what's it called, like help in terms of like if there's like stuff you need to know about, stuff you need to learn. But other than that, I don't know what else they would.
Because yesterday I told you there was so much going on. All right, bro. I will like call you back. I'm just gonna like wrap up and. Awesome, brother. All right, you take care. All right, love you. Bye-bye.
So, should I take the sound?
Awesome, guys. Yes. Just take it out. Put AC on.
Okay. Sound here.
Yes.
By this side.
Like opposite. Oh yeah, other way around. Other way around. Other way around.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So now if you go and find it.
Volt.
No.
Atom.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And then. Okay. Wait. Before atom, like audio is
Audio.
untitled. And then you can just click on date modified. It will take you to where you see it says today. So you go on there. So stereo mix basically has all the microphones.
Yeah.
So all the microphones. And then for this session we had all 4 people. So you just take stereo and all microphones together. You just press shift and shift.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then press play. Shift, shift. This one.
The phone.
Yeah, there we go. And then Command C, which is copy.
And then we go to the.
This one was.
Send only.
Yeah. And then now you go to today's date. If it's not there, you'll have to create a folder.
But you created.
Yeah, exactly.
Today has been like 15 people.
That's so you will create this, yeah?
Yeah.
Now you just paste it there.
Okay.
Now let's say if you guys were in session, yeah, and they had stopped and recorded again, you will have to create different folders and then paste the audio because they're all the same name.
Yeah.
So they will get overwritten. You get it?
Oh, so if
So
they
you
like
will, yeah, you
stop
make a new folder and you say part 2,
part 2, yeah.
and then you put the audio in there.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Got it? So
The
that's-
other
so-
audio.
so-
The other audio. Yeah. Because the first audio from the first part.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. So it doesn't get confusing, and then it also doesn't mess up.
Yeah, exactly. Because it will overwrite and then these files will be deleted.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome.
I usually just tell people if they say, oh, can we stop and store a file? I'll be like, hey guys, it's easier to transfer files even for you to download if we just let it roll the entire time. Should we just do that?
And then
Mostly they would say yes.
get an instance of someone saying.
Yeah, some people are like, no, I want to do a clip. And then so I'm literally here stopping, starting again and again and again. So those are the ones that I.
Okay.
Okay, so while this is happening,
Should I
Good
go to
search.
the link?
yeah, just get DaVinci.
Rush.
Search. DaVinci. Yeah, just press. Nice. usually, okay, let me close this. I was editing this. Close this. Let me open it again. Now open it again. I'll show you. So we will have different projects, yeah.
Yeah. Do you have time?
Yeah, yeah. That's all I have.
That's so. I don't know how to interpret that. Are you okay?
No, it's just music. It's just music.
Music.
Yeah, yeah.
Is you with us here?
Okay. Da Vinci. Hello.
Oh yeah, guys, and clients will always leave shit. So yeah, you want to clean this up, yeah? Like you see, there's a mug there. There's this. So you would have to take this to the kitchen, like put that in the kitchen and stuff like that.
I'll take that.
This one you'll obviously put it in the trash.
Right.
The mug, I'll take.
Yeah. And yeah. Yes.
So there is main
Oh,
project.
cool.
GPS.
We'll come.
Yeah.
So guys, this is a very important part of the job, yeah?
Yes.
So there's rendering and there's GPS rendering, you see?
Yeah.
You'll have to go into that.
What GPS rendering?
Right. So now if you go to the edit, so this is the export, yeah, this rocket is
Yeah.
export. You go to edit, and then choose all this, just like drag. No, like start from here. Like that, and then just delete them, yeah?
Okay.
So they are rendered. Those are like the previous ones.
Can I do?
Yeah, go to what? And get the, sorry, not the what, go to ATEM,
Item.
and then Moaz, or,
Mouse, yeah.
and then, so this is, if you had live edit. So live edit
Yeah.
basically is like when they are talking, if you
Yeah,
had done
right.
this, whatever was previewed here will be shown here. So we did not live edit, so it's just being here. This one I changed in the middle when I came here to reframe them. Okay? So if I had done that throughout, that would have been the live edit file. If not, if you go to
Video.
video ISO files, it has all the 3 raw recordings.
So.
So we don't do 4K, it's only 1080, yeah? So you take all 3,
All three.
and then drag it over here, here. Like that. Now, go to
What
rocket.
is for all time? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So go to rocket.
Sorry.
Yeah, first things first, choose the location that you want the files to be in. You getting it, yeah?
Yeah. Location.
Browse.
It
Vault.
goes to Vault.
Yeah.
Compressor. GPS. Send only. And it goes to.
So if the folder is already not there, you would be creating these,
Yeah.
So here, now save, yeah. And then you have to click on the first, so this is the
Yeah.
camera 1, right?
Yeah. So.
So
it's
Cam A,
more-
Cam B, Cam C, there were 3. Sorry, Cam A and Cam B, just 3. So
Yeah,
actually,
just
we don't
three.
need the third one. Just take that out. Or you can't delete over here. One sec.
Yeah.
You have to delete it here. They did not go for third camera, so this goes
Okay.
away.
So it's camera cancel.
Yeah, exactly. So now if you right click here, we
Yeah.
have 2 files. You have to render them separately. So
Yeah.
render this clip is very important, guys.
Yeah.
Be very important because if you do not do that, it'll get
Yeah.
overwritten. Always check them twice before sending it to the client. Yeah.
Okay.
So once you render this clip, you name it Cam A.
Okay. The file name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cam A. Yeah. And then you press add to render queue. So that'll go here. Now
Okay.
to render this clip. always choose like that, and then render off. So now they will render. So usually when you're done at 9 o'clock, you will do this and you'll go home because it will obviously take like 30 to 35 minutes. Sure. So you don't have to like wait around. Obviously, you just like do that. And what I would suggest is go in here, go into tasks. Tasks.
Yeah.
You see? So this you're rendering now.
Yeah.
So what I would do is I would do that. So it'll be to send to client. So when I come in the morning, I'll see that. I'll be like, okay, there's one file that needs to be sent, and I will send it.
Okay.
Got it?
Also, should we check the sound? So I just.
That's
So,
really
so
fine.
does that mean that they're going to be the ones that edit it?
Yeah, exactly.
We just send them the.
We just send them the files. So that's it. 215.
So we have the
Yeah,
sound here.
exactly. So now you can like do that. Close out.
Okay, now we're playing the studio.
Yeah. Now you just like
And we leave this for the whole night.
exactly. It's gonna take 26 minutes. So that will happen. So that will just render. That's why you never turn off that switch.
Which one?
That
Oh,
one switch.
yeah. Well, what switch is
Because
that?
that switch connects to all of this.
Oh, yeah.
So you don't wanna. You do not wanna.
Okay. Yeah. So this one is the left top.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
That's it, guys.
Awesome.
That's pretty much it.
Shall I
Any?
clear away the.
Fucking.
You okay?
Yes, I'm sorry. Really. Fuck. Okay. Yeah, if you can. Oh, fuck. Sorry. I'm right. No, I'm right.
All good.
Yeah.
They're very small steps. A lot of small steps.
Yeah, but like.
I can ask you. So sometimes where it's not just only two cameras, when it's three cameras, I'm putting camera A, camera B, camera C.
Yeah. Yeah. And let's say there are two separate recordings.
Yeah.
You stopped and started again.
Yeah.
Then you put cam A1,
Yeah.
cam B1, cam C1, cam A2, cam B. You have to name them right. Because if you name two files cam A,
Yeah.
cam A will get exported, and then the next one cam A will get
Oh.
exported, and then this file will delete.
Yeah, of course. So cam A2 is going to be like if we stop and start it again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
It's
so.
just naming them
Yeah.
differently.
Yeah, so, yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Let's go through some transfers, for example. So if you look here, for example, yeah, Chris Evans. You see, he did 3 episodes.
Yeah.
So cam A1, cam A2, cam A3, cam B1, cam B2, cam B3, cam C1, cam C2, cam C3, and then all the audio files as well.
Sure.
And audio files, do we name the audio files?
No, we just send it.
We just send
And
them?
this, mostly we don't even send the audio files.
Yeah.
I've started